What is going on, All-Terrain Nation? Whether it be two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, or these badass Fords that some of us get to drive and some of us get to wait on. This is your All-Terrain Nation. I'm your host, David Boyd, alongside Miss Kelly Boyd. And tonight, we got some fun things planned. And
Allie Du Bois.
I'm sorry, I normally bring Allie in. I'm a mixed bag of crazy here tonight. But yes, and Miss Allie is in the house. But tonight, we got a fun show because, well, I won't say it's fun necessarily. We're gonna talk UAW strike a little bit. We're going to talk.
I would say that's not very fun talk, sir.
Well, yeah, I feel like it's
but we also are going to talk the new F150 because it made its debut last week, and it's pretty interesting. And we actually this UAW talks is going to bleed into probably a few other brands out there. So just be prepared for that. But ladies, how is y'all's Monday going on?
We're hanging in there.
Same. Trying to work through my to-do list.
Everything's fine
before I get a new job. So,
well, that is we do need those to-do lists taken care of. I want to start out first. We did this last week, and I want to do this again. This, if I can bring it up, there is Maya's GoFundMe, and I'm going to put this link in the chat. If you guys want to support Allie's puppers over there, we would greatly appreciate that. Currently, we're at $3,210. I know I added 50 to it a little bit ago. And we would love to, if you guys would like to help out Maya. If not, times are tough. We got UAW strikes going on. But any help is good help to offset the cost. So, Allie, I guess you got word today that the doctors are going to go through everything?
Yeah, so Maya gets her CT on Thursday at 11. So she'll be there probably till 2 or 3. And then Monday morning, I drop her off at, I think, 7 or 8 a.m. And she will be held there until Wednesday for 3 days of radiation.
Wow. That's got to be like, I'm not going to ask too many because I know you've been emotional about it. So, I mean, that's kind of crazy that she'll be away from you for like 3 nights. Has she, I mean, obviously when you've gone on trips and stuff, she's been away from you, but is there at any other time that she's been away from you for like that amount of time?
No.
Yeah.
So that's the hard part. Pretty much since this whole thing started, like she's never been away from me. So when I had to leave her at the emergency vet, that was super hard. So it's just one of those things that this was definitely unexpected.
Yeah.
I have to thank Scott. He surprised me with it. Kelly, I know you and I kind of talked about maybe starting one, and I'm super stubborn when it comes to help. So either way, I was gonna get it done for her. But holy crap, this adds up fast. I have a customer who has Maya's sister.
Oh.
So, but they have the same parents, but they're 1 or 2 litters apart.
Okay.
And it's crazy because we had just I had met her through a family member of hers because I sell them cars. And he's like, oh my God, you're going to love my sister. She has Huskies too. Hit it off. Come to find out, we got them from the same breeder. Come to find out, they have the same parents.
That's funny.
She has an eye issue. And she always jokes that she's her $20,000 dog. Well, by the end of this in the next couple of years, I am not going to be surprised if Maya is going to be my $20,000 dog.
Well, I know you've spent quite a bit of money already on kind of all the diagnostics and things like that. So that's really kind of where, you know, this was kind of started, knowing that you've already spent so much money on her, which she's well worth it. But
I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I don't have kids. I can't
Right.
have kids. So it's like one of those things that like she is my kid. So it's like, and the fact that I just had this conversation with somebody, like, she's truly like never given me any issues. She's never torn an ACL. Like, we've never took a
you better knock on some wood, ma'am.
Trust me. So it's like one of those things where it's like it's a no questions asked when it comes to helping her type of a thing.
Yeah.
It's like, other than this, like, she's so healthy. She doesn't act like an 11-year-old dog. She acts like a 5-year-old dog.
Well, and you had said, you know, like the doctors had said, hey, we're shocked that you know, that she's that old from an age perspective, because all her blood work was saying that she was 5 and 6 years old.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that it's just been crazy.
Real quick, hey guys, we appreciate the super chats, but remember, use this link that I'm posting again if you would like to donate, and we'll make sure, Josh, I'll make sure those
Yeah, we'll make sure that those go over there.
Those go over there,
but definitely want to make sure
Thank you.
nothing is taken out of this from a YouTube perspective. We want it to go directly to, you know, because YouTube takes their percentage, so we don't want any of that to be taken out of this. So this actually goes straight to Allie's treatment if you go through the GoFundMe. That way there's no.
The biggest thing I can take away from all this is at Bronco Raptor, the course we went to, I was above Mitchell Watts, and if you look at the donations right now, once again, I am above Mitchell Watts there. So
Wow.
clearly, I don't give as much or can't afford to give as much as Mitchell. But hey, Mitchell, you're gonna have to.
No, I honestly, like, I told Scott this a bunch of times. Like, I'm like super stubborn when it comes to this, Kelly. I know it was your idea first, and she's like, well, maybe you should like start one of these. And then my first answer was no, I got this type of a thing. But I mean, she's my kid. She's worth it. So it's definitely, I'm very happy that this is her option, but this is kind of her only option.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one of those things, like, I have to do it. So we're going to figure it out. And
Yeah.
Well, it looks like we just picked up 11 donations so
Nice.
far there. So that's pretty cool. And we won't wear Allie out about this, because I know this is a rough thing, but we'll mention it here in a little bit too, down the road, in case people are just popping in to do that. And we have legendary Jordan Parker in the chat. And if Jordan would like to come in, he knows the door is always open. You just gotta one lug nut at a time, and you can get in here.
oh my God, the jabs at Jordan already.
I know, but Allie, if you want to send Jordan a link over there, you're welcome to. And
well, and Stephen R, no
I've
worries,
never
and Josh
officially-
Hamilton, no worries.
I've officially never done one of the links.
well, if you see where it says present at the bottom of your screen,
Present.
I'm sorry. Wait,
No, that's not
invite.
it. Invite.
There's an invite. I'm sorry.
Invite on the bottom.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like Jordan said, YouTube takes 30% of the super chats. So yeah, so definitely if you want to donate to Maya's treatment, definitely use the GoFundMe that Dave just put in there. That way all the fees go to Maya's treatment. So that way.
But we greatly appreciate everything you guys have done for
Jordan,
puppers.
eat dinner on the chat.
yes. But we will pull that back for a little bit, but we will talk about that again. And there's lots of Ford news to talk about this week. And
I keep
yeah,
promising
Nikki,
that
did
I'm
you
not
get your
gonna
Bronco
cry,
back?
but
I
there's
know
no
you had a lot
promises with
of
that.
stuff going on. Your Bronco. Nikki was.
Josh says,
so
"Now you
together
tell
to-
me." Well, Josh, don't just blindly start throwing money places.
I mean, you can always throw money our way. We'll
Yes.
always take it. But, you know.
We will make sure there was two
But we
20s.
will make sure that they go.
There's two 20s
sure.
in there. We will make sure that
So no worries.
All Terrain Nation gets that money over there.
Give me
For
2
sure.
seconds. She needs water. Hold on, I'll be back.
No worries. No
All right.
worries.
But it is Monday, Kelly. So this is obviously Bronco Talk Live, presented by who?
White Knuckle Off-Road Products.
That's right, man. All they ask you to do, especially our Bronco people, if you would go over to whiteknuckleoffroadproducts.com, check out what they do. If you buy something cool, if not, we don't try to negotiate discount codes, because generally when you do that, the creator or whoever's doing it, they're getting a kickback. They've sponsored my show for almost a year now. We have a deal already. I don't need extra. I'm not here to be patted on the back about it with a little extra fundage, but go over there, check out their products. They're a small American company. And in these times, man, small American companies are where it's at. So I'm glad to support. They're out in Southern California. John and Natalie, super nice people. And I keep bugging John
small
to be
mom
on the
and
show.
pop place too. That's what's great about it. They're all made here in the States, and small mom and pop shop. All they do is sliders.
That's
so
right.
They perfected them.
That's right.
But in our opinion.
But we have some we'll talk some UAW news in just a minute as well, because we have a special guest that's actually in a plant.
Yeah.
Making things, and he wanted to discuss what I guess his opinions and views of what's going on there. Thank you, Scott, for that super chat. And once again, I want to put this in there so you guys know. This is the link I just posted in there is the Maya donation link. GoFundMe.
Yeah, because I think somebody had asked about it, how you do it, because it kicked you out. So
yeah. And we don't mind if it kicks you out of the chat here tonight, and then you can come back in, go do your business there, and we got. If I could talk tonight, greatly appreciate it.
And Stephen Rapp, you can actually look up their Brighton Ford office address on Google, because I know Allie had to step away, so she might not get back to your question. So just Google Brighton Ford. If I remembered from my Google's searches, I would definitely tell you. But
Eric Jefferson, who's in the chat, I know, had to one up me by $1 with his donation there. So that's pretty crazy. Kelly, we've had a rough kind of a week as far as we're starting our Monday off kind of bad. So the Mustang's in for repairs.
Yes.
Nothing too crazy. It was stuff we've documented on here. And we did want him to look at, we were getting an error for the front sensor.
So there's two things that we're getting errors on. One, we can't really justify. And the other one says it might be because you've got something plugged into your QI. So the only or key or chi or however you want to pronounce it, the charger that is built in the vehicle of all things is causing a TPMS sensor to go off in the Mustang.
Yeah, we freaked out the first time it happened.
Yeah, because we were actually in Michigan and we're like, oh shit, did we blow a tire already? And we haven't even gotten started. And it popped up in the Ford app, and I looked at it. It was like, if you have something plugged into, or if you have something that's utilizing charging, it could be that. So no cords, no anything, just using the built-in charger, and it's causing a TPMS. So we mentioned that. And then we've got the pre-collision sensor that keeps going off on us for no reason. So we've got those, and then of course we had the two transit,
the little dent,
dent, and a little bit of paint spot.
Yeah, a little paint spot, and but we may have to pick a car up tomorrow because they're body people, or she said they're once a week, which is strange to me, but okay. But it is a little farm community. We did not take that car to Ford of Murfreesboro because you guys know my opinion of that place currently. So
no.
What is that, Dave?
What?
I'm like, what is that opinion, Dave?
Well, since they tried to sell our Bronco out from under us, I was afraid they might try to sell our Mustang out from under us just while
I have another Bronco customer that picked up after you did that have the same feelings of them.
Oh, I bet it's probably the ones that actually probably had to go there, because I actually mentioned Brighton Ford is where we purchased it from. She's like, I think I've probably had to call that dealership before. I was like, yeah, it's in Michigan. She's like, yeah. I said, it's probably the Bronco that picked up from Brighton Ford that might have come to you guys.
My third one from Murfreesboro.
That's crazy.
It is nuts. But the car, the funny thing and not so reassuring was she goes, yeah, we don't want to hold on to this car too long because we don't want them getting stolen from our lot. And I was like,
she said, if they'll steal from the showroom, they'll definitely steal from our lot. And I was like, there's a story there.
Yeah.
So she was actually going to keep it locked into their service bay overnight until they got an answer from the manager.
But that's other than that, we've had a lot of fun with the Mustang, and sadly our time with the Mustang is about over, Kelly.
Maybe we'll see.
Unless Mama Bear over here can find a job in the next few weeks, Mustang fun time might be going away. But I will say, damn it, if I don't, every time I start that car, if
it makes them happy,
it makes me so happy. Like the car was for you.
Yeah.
But much like the Bronco was for me, I think I've slowly taken over the car.
You have. Absolutely.
Because I'll race the car too, though, and you'll race a little bit, but
Yeah,
our
but nothing
daughter
crazy.
she wanted to ride in the Mustang.
Oh man, I wish I'd have videoed it when you took off when we were driving to the dealership tonight, because as soon as you put that foot on the gas, her head went back and the biggest smile on her face I've ever seen. So
yeah, she loves to go fast.
Yeah.
And speaking of going fast, let's hope this UAW strike goes
Yeah.
quickly, and we can
Agreed.
get back to normal, and hopefully both parties can come to some conclusion that works for both parties. Because I think before we bring in our special guest, I think sometimes you shoot for the moon hoping to get kind of what you wanted.
Once you land amongst the stars.
And I don't know where the UAW is currently at with what they want, because I've noticed that Ford is everybody keeps creeping up their percentages of pay increases and all that. And this our current UAW guy, he is holding fast to, we're going to get what we want. No ifs, ands, or buts. And
You said but
I want to bring in if I'm not sure if he can hear us or not, but we have a special guest
he was
from
popping in and out a little bit.
I know. I saw him there and then he disappeared. So I'll make sure
You've given him too much time to have to walk away,
I
Dave.
know.
You just couldn't stop talking.
I think he's actually working.
How dare he have to work while during ATN? There he is.
But let's bring in Mr. Mike K here. What's going on, buddy?
Well, working, making trucks. Still
We
Making
appreciate
trucks.
you making trucks.
Yeah. Yeah. We
Somebody's got to, right?
Yep.
I'm curious, what plant are you at? What are we working on here tonight?
Or can you tell us?
I can tell you what plant. I won't say what my job is particularly.
Yeah, of course.
But I work at the Dearborn Reese facility in Dearborn, Michigan. I am in the Red Sea building where we make the F-150 Lightning. I just transferred here. I was the team leader on C crew shift in DPT, the final building. But we cut that shift to bring a third shift over here. So kind of a new experience here.
Well, this is a interesting live stream we're doing where there's somebody actually building things while we're talking.
I love the little
multitasking.
robots in the back.
Yeah, you're gonna hear some weird things, especially the Mario theme song. You hear that in the background. That means one of the robots is down somewhere. So it just plays like the chime. I don't know if you can hear it.
Well,
No, okay, so that's good because it's kind of annoying.
Well, you wanted to jump in, so I'm curious, since you're an employee and you're going through some strike stuff. Obviously, this particular plan is not. I think the UAW is kind of doing things smartly, of going, hey, we're going to hit all three at once, but we're not just shutting everybody down. We're going to allow some plants to keep moving, but we're going to hit them where it hurts. And Michigan Assembly Plant is really hurting Ford, because now F-150 is their big seller, but there's a lot of profit in Broncos and Rangers.
Oh, definitely. I got a few friends that are on strike now. Actually, I think they're out there right now striking. Actually, when I get off this shift at 4 a.m., I'll be joining them. But yeah, it's been interesting how this process is. First time ever we're going after all three.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of where, since you are a factory worker, where are you at with the conversation, man? Obviously, I always tell people to get what you can get as far as money. I mean, what is the treatment like at these plants? Where are the pluses that they can help you guys out?
Well, one thing that the UAW and most of us here is to get rid of tiers. That's the problem where I spent my first 3 years here as a temp, which now they don't count that as seniority. So I'll have to work an extra 3 more years to reach a retirement. So that's
right,
kind of thrown out the door, kind of those 3 years.
Yeah. Which I've heard a lot about that. Now I know I used to work for Nissan, and they had a company. Oh gosh, I can't even think of the company. Yates Manufacturing was who you would entry level come in with, and then you could get hired on to Nissan. So it sounds like something kind of similar.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird. COVID kind of changed up a lot of things here, where they started flipping people faster. Now, I just topped out finally after 6 years of being here. I kind of squeaked in on the last contract, but there's a lot of things that I wasn't here for that I know a lot of people here miss.
Right. Of course, you've been. It sounds like you've been with them for about 6 years or so. I know. So you kind of missed out on the 9 issues of when some of these companies were kind of collapsing, and the UAW didn't really have much to kind of pull at. It was either work or don't work. You guys now are a little bit more lucky that you have the ability to to negotiate. Where do you think this all ends up? Do you guys think that your UAW president's going to get you everything he's saying, or do you think there's a middle ground to be had?
Definitely, there's a middle ground to be had there. I don't expect to win everything, but that's the whole process of bargaining. You have to give and take certain areas.
Right. Is there anything on that list that you think, besides the tiers, is there any other thing on that list that you're
The
like,
pay
hey, man,
increase,
right?
the raise over the next 4 years, the contract. Now I understand we're probably not going to get 40. Maybe I'm not in those rooms, so I don't know. But I would definitely could use a raise, especially since I was probably making more at the other building before I transferred over here. But they cut that shift. So that's another thing, is job security. So
Right.
it's a go ahead.
No, go right ahead.
No, my bad. I talked over you.
No, you're totally fine. You got to talk over him because he'll talk over you all day long. Ask me how I know.
He's watched the show.
A time or two.
Yep.
So pay, and I think that would be fair, because I do look at, I'm neither pro nor in this debate. I'm kind of middle ground. I think there's room to be had for everybody, but it does suck when you look at, I posted a video this week where GM's CEO right now, it made almost $30 million last year. And then I've seen people in our comments, they talk, well, they have a lot of schooling and all this, which I understand. I totally get that. But the previous CEO for GM made $6 million. And now that was 12, 13 years ago, but still, like, that's a drastic pay increase for, relatively. I feel like these jobs are getting a little bit, like the white collar jobs might be getting a little bit easier. Like there's this whole AI that they're bringing in. There's a lot of factors that why I think it's getting easier. And the little guys kind of not getting taken care of, it seems like, as much.
Correct. Like, there's a lot of people here that, how do I explain this? Not trying to make this super political or anything.
Sure.
So, like, give me one moment. I apologize.
No worries.
You were perfectly fine. Scott says, Dave, did you ever work at Nissan? Yes, I worked for Nissan Smyrna Manufacturing.
That's why you're a Nissan guy.
No, I was a Nissan guy before that.
It's a true story. That just happened to be the only place that wanted to hire him at the time.
Yeah. No, it was during the collapse.
Yeah, it was 09 when the world.
Well, I started working for him in 11.
Well, Allie may not remember 09. She probably was in high school.
Hey now, that is when I graduated.
See?
So I'm very much going to college.
Same here.
And had to deal
you didn't
with
understand
$4
it totally,
a gallon of gas on a college budget.
Did you say 99-cent gallon of gas?
No, $4. It got up to like $4.50.
Oh. Yeah, I remember it was expensive.
I remember it was 99 cents when I had my first car. Back in my day.
I remember it was 99 cents during COVID.
That's true. That's true.
I do have a picture of Costco gas, and it was 89 cents in Brighton.
That's nice.
And I had a 50-gallon tank for an F-150, and I filled up for under $40, and I was loving it.
For sure.
So pay increases, Mike, it would be a bit sticking. What about the pensions for you? I just don't know that that's ever because Kelly's parents got a pension through GM, and I just think that's a sticking point. They will none of the big three will ever budge on.
Again, like I wasn't here to even get the pension. That was gone before I even came here. So it's like something I never had, but all I hear is I've heard about 2 people that are here at Legacy. They love it, like, and it's a great safety net to have. Well, we have like a 401k that we put into, and they match a certain percentage. But overall, I would love to have a pension. I would love that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Again, it's something I don't know how to argue for, as I was not here.
Sure.
They kept kicking the can down the road after the 2007-2008 recession.
Yeah, it's interesting because I know you've all heard this before too, is that my parents are retirees from General Motors, and they had a pension, and I didn't know anything but having a pension. Like that was it's like children learn what they live kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you just get a pension with companies. And then I started working, and I was like, wait, what? You stop working and you don't get a pension unless you put into your 401k. So I think that a lot of companies have gone to that 401k mentality versus pension, because I still know some folks that I worked with at my previous job. They actually worked for different companies, and they had pensions from, I think it was like Sears Roebuck and Ford Credit. They had pensions from, in a couple different places. They had pensions from when they retired from them. Now you don't really see it unless it's a government job or things like that. So I definitely will be interested to see if they're ever able to settle on bringing that pension idea back, because I do know my mom and I have had many conversations about, the UAW thing, because she actually messaged me after our video last week, and she was like, well, we really got our bodies beat up, and there is definitely a pay increase, and 32 hours would definitely be beneficial, and things like that. And I totally get it. You guys are beating the crap out of your bodies. I know my mom has had numerous surgeries. My dad has had numerous surgeries just because their bodies have been beat to shreds. So I definitely see that there are those reasons for some of these negotiating factors. I'll be definitely interested to see where everything lands.
Well, last thing I heard was over the course of this weekend, we're going well for Ford at least. But I haven't heard anything update on the Stellantis or GM.
I think GM's been quiet.
Well, the worst thing is still Stellantis, because there's nobody in the United States. Their CEO is not in the United States. No. So you have no freaking clue what they're thinking, what's going on. People act like, oh, it's the big 3 American companies, and that is not an American company by far.
No, that is gone. That is no longer an American company. It hasn't been for a while.
And so, yeah, it's kind of a nightmare of making all the squeakies.
Yeah, sorry.
So insurance, how is the current situation for insurance? Because I know Kelly's parents, they had great insurance at one time, and then the collapse, they kind of lost some of that. How do you feel like the package that they've put together for you guys? Is it good, or?
Oh, I must say the health insurance is great. And then the prescription service, dental, that's all great. But like, for example, with the tier system, I only had just basic healthcare. I had no prescription coverage or anything until I got flipped. There was no dental or vision or anything until you got outside of that temp position.
Wow.
Yeah, so I know there's a few temps here that, like, they're waiting, they're counting down the days until they get flipped so they can get things done. Like,
yeah,
medical issues that they've been pushing on.
So we're trying to pull up
pull
up a link here. The thing that I think both sides right now are going to live through the press. They're going to all want to get their side across. They want the American, for one, both sides I think needs America right now to know, hey, we're still going to build cars. We're still trying to. We're we're having a little spat right now, but we're here to, you know, they didn't go complete strike. And for one, I don't think the UAW could afford to strike everybody at once because the amount of funding that would cost would be just ridiculous. But I think they've done it the best way they can of hitting some of these plants that they know, hey, you know, because Michigan Assembly Plant has a new Ranger that's been trying to come out. It was supposed to start
all
production.
this is gonna get delayed and pushed back so much.
Yeah, and of course,
Sorry,
Bronco's a
Bronco Nation.
hot selling vehicle for them. Jeep, they've shut down the Jeep plant there in Toledo, which is that is that companies in America. That's their moneymaker besides Ram trucks. It's the Jeep brand. So shutting that down, and of course Chevrolet just GM launched the Colorado Canyon Twins, the little mid-sized trucks. They've shut that plant down now. They've hit these companies where it hurts. Somebody in the comments I saw a little bit ago said they think it's going to be about a 6-week strike. I mean, I'm assuming at some point they start adding plants to this and they really put the pressure on these guys, right?
Yeah. So the strategy they're doing is completely smart. They're saving money. Certain employees are still getting paid. Now, during their negotiations, we could be the next plant to be next, or a parts plant to be next. It's whatever kind of.
I heard it's the Canada Edge plant next.
I believe which one? That's the first one.
I'd have to look. Hold on.
Plant?
The Edge plant. Hold on.
No, Ford. You said Ford.
Okay. I heard it was Oakville next, but we'll see.
We're all on notice, though.
That's a good question. Do you know this, Mike? Stephen R. Asked, how much is strike pay, a percentage or a flat for everyone?
It's going to be a flat 500, and then taxes out of that.
Right.
I don't. Yeah.
When that happens, does the state kick in with unemployment as well, or is there any kind of help there, or is it just you're completely?
I would say no.
No.
Yeah.
Because you're still.
I don't think so, because they're still technically getting paid.
Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming you guys saw that. Of course, Michigan Assembly Plant. It was just the body. I forget. They only part of the plant, and then I think it was this pretty smart move by the UAW because they knew, well, okay, they can't build anything, so then they had to lay off 600 people. So they did definitely. They're getting state funding now. It was pretty smart of the UAW, so they don't have to fund that part of it. Just only partially strike.
Yeah,
it's smart. And the only thing is we're now everyone's nervous because we never know when we're going to get the call. So we're all like, I'm ready to, but we don't know when.
Allie, go ahead. If you got any questions, go ahead.
No, I'm definitely in a different position than they are. So.
Oh yeah, well, for sure for you.
I just have a lot of angry customers.
I didn't know if you had any questions for Mike or not.
No. Definitely interesting. That's for sure.
Well, Kelly, so you went through this with your family.
Yeah, I've gone through it. Obviously, my younger days, and it just was what we did. It was just occasionally it was going to go ahead and go on strike, and we would. My parents were pretty open, and they would say, "Hey, this is kind of coming up," and things like that. And we never really knew. I mean, we kind of knew what to expect because obviously, like you said, you had that money coming in still at least, but it was nowhere near what we were used to getting. Obviously, my parents were getting. So, you just kind of go, okay, we're going to have to cut back. We're going to have to do these things. And, and you never knew when my parents were going to go back to work. Yeah. And, they had assigned times, and I don't know if that's the case, how it works now, but they had assigned times that they had to go and picket outside of,
I think that's how it works. Like you have an assigned time that you have to show up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cause that's how it was when they were, and, they went at that certain time, and I always knew that mom and dad had to go at such and such time. No,
Yeah,
Mike is
that's
actually
correct.
in a plant, Tim, with pickup truck plus SUV talk.
Tim, when we donate to each other's shows, the only people that are benefiting there is
It's
Google.
YouTube. No, it's YouTube.
Well, you Google in general.
But
So
yeah, so it's a scary time for the families because you just don't know when that time is going to happen. But you're also,
Right.
grateful for that stipend, so to speak, that you've got that money in the background because somebody's fighting to, get whatever the negotiating piece is that's working on that time. And
yeah,
there were times that my parents were out of work for 6-7 months. And, I've talked about it in previous times, is that I remember my mom going and like taking classes because General Motors would pay for her to take classes while she was, I don't know if it was GM, it was probably UAW, but, would pay for her to be able to take classes and educate up while she was on strike. So it was, kind of things like that. So,
well, one thing I saw today that I thought was really, really cool was this right here, the strike convoy. So the crew from Toledo is going to go up to Wayne, and the Jeep guys are coming up to show support to, I guess, the Bronco crew, the people building Broncos. And I thought that was pretty interesting. And I hope, obviously, Bronco people, the people at MAP, return the favor.
mm-hmm.
I like that. That's nice.
Yeah, I thought that was very, very cool that they would actually do that, which is because usually these companies, they strike just that company at one time, so it's such a weird time that both plants can actually kind of support each other.
I mean, it just shows you, the world we live in, everybody's fighting on, for their team or whatever. But really, when you see this, it goes, hey, just because, I mean, how many times have we all talked about this? Jeep is better, or, Jeep is this, Bronco's better than Jeep, and, those types of things. But these are those times where
At the end of the
lines
day,
get
we're all
drawn.
an off-road family.
100%. 100%. It's actually
I've had one guy message me like religiously about Maya and stuff, which has been super nice. And it was funny because, like, I guess just because, like, I am so into, I mean, obviously I have to be in the Fords. I wouldn't sell them if I didn't like them. But it, like, took me a minute because, like, I commented, like, I messaged him back and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, thank you for being a part of Maya's Bronco family. And then I messaged it again. I'm like, I guess off-road family. And he goes, it's cool. He's like, I'm envious of the Broncos, but I'll never, like, admit it on the platform. I'm like,
well, speaking of things to admit, here's Mr. Pickup Truck Plus SUV talk back on the show.
troublemaker himself.
This is round 2.
I figured Tim might want in on this because Mike is actually a UAW employee still working right now.
He's in one of the plants that is not currently shut down.
Yeah, I can hear the music now. I was watching Lego Masters with my son. I was on mute, but I could hear the sound now. If you've been to a plant in the last century, you can hear the music. And Dave, you work in the plant. Did that actually drive you nuts end of the day?
No, because I
Hold
was
on.
in.
Hi, Allie.
No, it wasn't too bad. But my worst thing for me where I was at was watching out for forklifts running you over, which actually happened. People would get hurt.
People would voluntarily get run over.
Yeah, we had people trying to figure out how to run in front of forklifts to get where we can get really hurt. I was like,
just enough to go on disability.
That's the Tennessee labor strategy, Tim. So we don't have a union for
not
Nissan.
Everybody's Tennessee labor, just so we're clear.
Nissan didn't have a union, so they were trying to form their own with a forklift. Tim, I didn't know if you had any questions for Mike as he's building things about the whole UAW strike thing.
See, I would want to know from Mike's standpoint, like, how much is he following the strike, and how much is the strike news going to impact how he votes for future unions?
That's a good question.
Hopefully he heard us. I'm a journalist for a reason.
Wow. Wow.
There's Mike. I don't know if you heard your question or not, Tim.
Yeah, I had a little bit of it.
Okay.
But give me 1 second. I'm multitasking as we speak.
Yes,
of course.
Build the
How dare you multitask at work?
Yeah, I'm you know what, Mike, I agree with you. I'm at work too, and I'm multitasking as we speak.
Rubbing it in.
No, I applied, Mike. I was giving him shit.
I know.
It's all good. But if you got any other questions, I can answer some things as I'm still in work. I can't talk about certain things, but
Tim, you
I'm
want to try
good
that question again? I don't know if he got it.
Yeah, you want to try? Yeah.
Yeah. No. As you see the UAW news and you see the news cycle and what's going on, does it impact your future voting on whether you're union or not? Does it? Are you going, huh? They got this much money. Maybe I need to do something different too. Like, how does that impact your thoughts?
It's kind of hard to explain on it. So based off the media, you're asking like what the media is, and so you're like the Ford and GM talking about how they go bankrupt versus with the unions updating. Is
Right.
that what you're kind of asking? Right now, I'm quite happy with Sean, especially the targeting strike particularly way. Kind of keeps people working, doesn't completely cripple all the plants and the cities that are around it. Now, I've only been here for 6 years, so I've only gone through one other contract, but that was 2019, and that was pretty much the simple first. I think GM went on strike for 40 days, didn't they?
Yeah, they went on strike back. Yeah, they went on
Yeah.
strike. Yep, it was a short one.
So I guess so does everyone have to show up to the other plants?
You don't have to, but we show solidarity.
Got it.
So it just depends how the strike's laid out. So like, the UAW thing is stand-up and strike, where they're targeting certain plants, which is unique because usually they deal with one automaker only, and they deal with that contract negotiations. So it's a very interesting strategy. I applaud Sean Payne for thinking outside the box. He's doing some interesting things. Whether 5 years from now you look back and go, "Oh, Sean was right, absolutely right," or you look back and say he was an idiot. I mean, it just
Right.
hindsight's 2020, but it's an interesting strategy here.
But at the moment, I'm happy. I'm working. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, you might go right ahead, buddy.
The way we're working right now, so is our other plant. But I'm hoping that this with this strategy, hopefully this is within a month.
Because I mean, I was talking to my dad about this in GM. He was with GM for years, but he was also in Michigan. You don't want to be in strike that long. Like strikes are, you want to be on strike till you get the point done, then you're done, right? You don't want to go on strike.
Well, that and you got holidays are coming up. Money starts getting tight for everybody.
Money's already tight for everyone as it is.
Yeah,
I agree. I had to buy the cheap whiskey.
Oh no!
Tonight I'm drinking Tex, Tim. I'm getting ready for Texas, so.
Oh yes.
I'm drinking Tito's. So.
I should be drinking.
Yeah, you should.
Or not.
Mike's like, yep, I should be drinking too.
Mike,
you're bang to get you through.
You got water.
I got that.
Good girl.
Well, Mike, I want to say we appreciate you having you on. I know you're a busy guy, and I don't want you to lose focus of your job there. We appreciate the hard work you guys are doing. Either way, your opinions on this subject.
Tim apparently has a question.
Oh, go ahead, Tim.
So I have one question for Mike. I don't know if Mike can hear me, but Mike, if you can hear me, I have one question for you. Do you think that being on strike, your quality will drop, as I've heard from comments? Like being on strike means that Ford, I'm assuming Ford, GM, whatever, is your quality is going to drop because you're on strike.
No, I actually from here, I'm at my plant. We've actually been improving more and more. People are more stressed out of everything, so they actually show up for work.
Hyper focused.
They don't want to lose time. Yeah, they're more hyper focused right now. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay. Sure.
It's a lot quieter. So I don't know how I can't speak for other plants, but sorry.
No. I mean, it's curious because that question goes all the time. It's like, if you guys are on strike and lose focus on quality, so quality's gonna go down.
I don't see quality going down on that because no one wants to lose any time right now, just in case we do go on strike and get the call.
Yeah.
We want as much money saved up right now.
As possible.
So.
Yeah. No, that's pretty crazy. But Mike, I want to say we appreciate your time.
Yes,
I know.
Thank you.
I know this is tough especially if you're listening to this on a podcast. Mike is literally working as he wanted to come in and give people a little bit of idea what's going on over there. And Mike, be safe, buddy. Definitely when you get some, if you ever get a Monday night where you can not have to build product
you
and,
don't have to
chat.
work and have
You
a normal
know,
conversation.
if we strike, then yeah, I'll have the time.
Mike's got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Right. Mike's got any day open if they go on strike, except for that time he's got to be on the picket line.
Right.
Well, Mike, I want to say thank you and keep up the good work, man.
We appreciate you.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
You guys built my
Have a good
lightning
one.
Thanks,
today.
Mike. Thanks for doing an
My
awesome job.
customer's lightning.
Thank you.
Well,
I
there
don't-
was one person who builds vehicles that we all like to buy, and Tim, I think that plant was running a little bit slower, so he had a little more time to.
I'm surprised he did that.
Yeah, I am too. We
We don't want to say why we're surprised, but
Yeah,
yes,
well, that'll be. We'll let you make your own assumptions. We're surprised.
I love how incognito you guys are like, where are you working? It says
Right here.
maybe I've been a journalist way too long. Yeah.
Yeah,
Tim, I just
but
didn't want to comment on those things.
So actually, Laura said something. Has any dealers in here lost sales due to the fact of the strike? I actually had a guy freak out on me because his Bronco was supposed to get built, and he's kind of on a time crunch, and he said, "Screw it," and he's not taking it.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So my question for you, Allie, you're on the sales side, but you probably don't know this parts side. But I'd be curious, walk over to parts guys. Are they seeing parts delays?
I don't think yet.
I
mean, there's already part delays because like we're still in a shortage. Like it's still hard to get some stuff. But I'm sure this is only going to be harder now.
Yeah. So I haven't talked about it a whole lot, but I have $11,000 worth of hail damage to my Silverado, and Geico is working on getting the stuff together, and it's a whole thing. It's gonna take more.
It's been fun. We just had a hailstorm in Michigan. I had a guy wait 2.5 months to get his car fixed.
Right. Hey, ask me how I know you had a hailstorm. Speaking of hailstorms, we've got Mr. Bronco Nation, Mr. Jordan Parker on here.
That's how we're gonna bring in Jordan.
Is that my new title, Hailstorm?
That's right.
Yes.
It's better than the tire changer.
How in the hell is that a segue?
It was pretty impressive, honestly. That was a phenomenal segue. A+.
Tim, Jordan,
Don't make
Tim.
his head blow up. You can't give him too many compliments. He gets too cocky. Not you, Jordan. This one.
Are you talking about Dave or sorry,
this one.
1 inch at a time. So we're Jordan. What is Bronco? What does this do for Bronco Nation? I know not as officially, but does this, when they start freaking out? I mean, obviously it's good for the forum because people are talking. They have questions, comments. But as far as like you guys doing trips, like because I'm a little nervous at what the whole journalism side will do, because I'm like, well, if they have no reason to promote something they can't sell. I mean, what is going on with you guys?
Yeah, that's a great question. We're not in the business of selling Broncos. We're in the business of making owning a Bronco easier and more enjoyable. So everything we do, or the vast majority of things we do, is post-purchase. So we can't speed up your delivery, and the vast majority of consumers we deal with are post-delivery.
I thought you and Mike Levine could do that for me.
So right, yeah. No, that's what Laura and I were joking the other day. We're like, hey, maybe we will be on the factory line. I'm gonna go pick up a second job and I'm gonna go run map myself.
Well, somebody did ask, do they still have scab workers? And that's an interesting question. And I know that's a terrible word for it, but that's what they called it when my parents were, on strike.
Baseball players, football players. I mean,
they would bring them in to do it. So you might just be called up, Jordan. Just saying.
Maybe. I'm ready to go.
I see Jordan more of a white collar worker than on the line.
He can change a tire.
I can. No comment.
Okay.
I'm good with Lego sets. I could put together a Bronco with instructions. So for our day-to-day life, it doesn't change much. Yeah. I mean, obviously we're not, we don't have much to do with it. Laura's putting out relevant news. I mean, obviously, I think you mentioned earlier, and I don't want to, I'm going to rebut your point that the UAW is hitting these automakers where it hurts. I don't think so. Like, Michigan truck plant, as we just saw, is not shut down. The F-150 plant is not shut down.
Yeah.
The bread and butter profit makers, cash cows for these companies are not shut down. It's the Bronco, which is low volume. It's the new Ranger, which is not yet any volume. It's the Jeep 4xe, which is low volume. So if it was like the Super Duty plant or the F-150 plant or something like that, I would see that becoming a much, much larger issue. But Ford's money is made on truck and SUV, not on Bronco.
Well, but it
so
hit them where it hurts of
it hurts, no doubt.
the plus
No
the plus side. It's the gravy that they're taking away right now.
It's
Yeah.
Ford's biggest talked about vehicle, and that's why they did it. They did it for a statement, but I have to agree with Jordan on the F-150 and Super Duty. That's why during these part shortages, minus Bronco aside, they made sure that F-150 could get down that line.
Yeah.
Like, that is their moneymaker right there. Like, they just
$67,000 for XLT Bronco or F-150.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's insane.
So
I mean, I did a video today. I priced my 21 F-150 Power Boost versus 24 F-150 Power Boost. It was $7,000 difference in 3 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, and I know somebody in the chat's talking about it, and it's been said online too, especially on X and other platforms. Like, the big winner of this is going to be Tesla. It's going to be the non-union companies who are just going to exploit the shortage, exploit the volume, exploit the fact that they have non-union workers with livable wages, and all up, all in, Tesla workers make more than current UAW plant workers do, and they're non-unionized. So
I would disagree with that, Jordan, because I mentioned it in Tim's chat earlier tonight. So about every 5 to 7 years, Nissan, the UAW keeps trying to get into Nissan here locally.
Yeah.
And all this does is, trust me, I'm in some former employee groups because I work for the manufacturing side.
No, you didn't.
I know. Drink. Everybody has to drink. But I have to admit, trust me, they're paying it.
I need more, Tim.
They're paying attention right now, and it's so split because we have GM in Spring Hill, Tennessee here, which is, I don't know what they build half the time anymore, but
they started out as Saturn.
They keep trading employees, and employees that come from GM to Nissan are like, well, where's the union? And then people go over from Nissan to them, and they're like, oh, cool, there's a union here that'll help us. So Tennessee's getting to be very divided on this subject of because we had, when Spring Hill came in, there was a lot of employees that came from Michigan down this way. So I know for Nissan side of it, those people love to talk union talk. And I think this now it's into the national news. It just gives them more reason to go, hey, come on, Joe. You remember that? Look at these guys are wanting a 40% raise, and we're not even averaging the income they do. And Tim, I don't know about Toyota. I would assume Toyota is up nearly the same way. They're not union, but I'm sure there's some people who love oh wait, he's got to change hats to talk. yeah, Tacoma.
No, I mean, so my point of view on this is that as much as Tesla or VW or Nissan want to be on the outliers and be like, oh, it's not a big deal, whatever, the parts suppliers, they use the same parts suppliers. You don't have that many tier 1 parts suppliers globally. And so when those parts suppliers start slowing down and start laying people off, so there's a company in Michigan right now that just laid off some employees, and they're a parts supplier. That's going to make the bigger impact. It's not about the 3% of automaker UAW employees or 5%, whatever, striking. It's, you have the parts suppliers, you have independent delivery companies. So the people that deliver these vehicles on those, you see them in semi trucks with the cars on them. Those are independent contractors a lot of times. They're independent companies. They start slowing down and lay people off. It's railroads. Railroads ship a lot of vehicles across the United States. Those start that's railroads. So the strike isn't just like this. The strike is like this. And when I grew up in Michigan, people in Michigan were like, "Oh my God, Michigan." But you gotta get beyond that, because we have a global marketplace, a global economy. You start slowing down one part of the economy of these automakers, it's going to have outstanding impacts throughout the rest of the economy. And Tesla be damned, whatever, it's going to happen through everybody. Ford Europe, GM Asia, Ford Asia. It's going to impact those different markets over there. It's going to be a lot of things. And it's like, for events I go to, for my market, I've talked about this several times, my YouTube revenue may go down.
Yeah, we were talking about this privately.
Yeah. I mean, and my trips I take may go down. Why send me to Why spend? Jill's going to Spain to do the Volvo EX, whatever thing is. Or I don't even know what the hell thing is. I really don't know.
Are you supposed to say what she's going to do?
I don't. Yeah, apparently, I can.
Spoiler alert.
Anyways, she's going to Spain. So, like, why would Volvo send people to Spain if they could not build the vehicles? And I think it's going to impact more than the non-UAW employees, because the economy. The thing is, like, we used to be a bubble where, like, Michigan had mom and pop suppliers, and that's all they dealt with, mom and pop suppliers. And then Dakota really showed how much the supplier market has consolidated. So Dakota builds the world's largest automakers as far as suppliers, as far as airbags. And so when they had airbag recalls, it impacted everybody. Everybody had the same part. So when you look at automakers, like Mike on here today, automakers and plants, they're assembly plants.
Mhm.
That's a very key term.
They're
They
not building plants; they're
different
assembling.
parts of they come in, put together. They're assembling parts. And so I look at this standpoint as going, it doesn't matter. GM can't build vehicles. It doesn't matter Ford, whatever. It's part suppliers. And so right now there's a paint booth, and I think it's in is a Ford paint booth. I think that's one impacted. The Ford paint booth is going to impact many different vehicles across lineup, because they're not going to paint the parts. I mean, so the UAW is smart in that they're picking up little small things in time period. They're going to wrap things up. When they wrap things up, it's going to impact all automakers, regardless of whoever it's going to be, because there are not that many part suppliers like used to be. Back in like 2006, before the recession happened, there was a lot of mom and pop part suppliers. Well, they all got consolidated. They all went bankrupt. They all lost money. And that's why we bailed out automakers. Was not because the automakers needed to be bailed out, was because we had to bail out the mom and pop part suppliers to keep them in business. And so once you leave the part suppliers out of the way, like you go to like go order a door lock actuator, right? There's not that many suppliers.
You're telling me there's not 16 different companies that build those?
Right. So, like,
you're crushing dreams right now, Tim.
Exactly. So I'm like, if you look at the overall marketplace, automotive market seems like it's oh my god, it's amazing, all these different vehicles, other people, but no, Tesla, Nissan, Toyota, GM, Ford, whatever, they all use similar part suppliers, and once those part suppliers start slowing down, they're gonna lay things off. Things are gonna be delayed.
Well, I think because what I did for Nissan was I handled side mirrors for trucks, and no, but I think there's only one part supplier in the world that makes mirrors for all cars.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and we would have times where they would have to fly those in. And I think there's some of them are built in Michigan, and they would have to fly those in, fly stuff in to keep lines moving and all that.
The thing is ripple effect. What's happening? So
yes.
The thing is ripple effect. I don't care what happens today. Today doesn't matter. If you shut down lines today, what ripple effects can happen in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? How long does it take for those parts suppliers? So right now so Allie's pointed out, we have different shortages. Well, the reason we have shortages is because those part suppliers. So automakers goes, oh, we're back in business. Send me 50,000 worth of parts. Part suppliers going, hey, wait, we can't build that many because we don't have enough people. People go, we're going to hire those people on. Oh, wait, the part that goes in the part, that guy can't hire enough people. That guy can't. So that guy's going to build up more people. So it's a whole ripple effect, and they have a huge problem in the automotive marketplace.
Well, and if you look at it, if you're having trouble seeing part in the parts, think about what the pandemic did to our country from that perspective. Again, we're not getting political. I'm not going there, but I'm just saying from a supply perspective, how long did, at first we weren't initially affected. Everybody kind of freaked out and went and did their thing and bought too much of things. But in the end, in a couple of months, there still weren't those things on the shelves. So it's kind of the same idea that it took time for that to build back up. So just if you want to reference to that, think about most recently that.
But I feel like that's actually a good thing for the manufacturing world right now, is it allows, there's no more excuses after this. If they paused it for 2 weeks, there's no more excuses going, well, we're not caught up with the pandemic stuff. No, some of those mom and pop places have perfect time to get inventories back to where they're supposed to be.
As long as the money's still coming in.
Well, of course. But I mean, I can't imagine Ford's just like, no, we're shutting everything off, and it's in their best interest to.
I just heard my dad in Michigan. GM laid off 2,000 people. Ford laid off 600 people overnight because of the strike.
Yeah.
I think
That's like Mike
I
said.
think
He's
we all
waiting
have
at the call.
philosophical differences of viewpoints on this. To me, this is going to drive more innovation. Companies eventually are going to be fed up with it. We're going to see automation come into play because robots don't go on strike. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. They
grocery store
currently
workers and
are.
Starbucks employees wanted $18 an hour. And they said, fine, we'll go to self-checkout. You can check yourself out. We just took
Yeah.
care of two
Well,
problems. We don't have to pay
that's
benefits. We don't have to pay higher wages. You can do it yourself. So I think, we all know the quote, hard times create strong men, weak men, good times create weak men, that whole 9 yards. Not saying that's directly applicable here, but I think the more we see these challenges in businesses that have been established with very similar manufacturing processes with very centralized control for decades and decades, all the way going back to the original assembly line that Henry Ford created, we're going to see the next evolution of that to where it is less dependent on manpower, so the assemblies can still run if people decide they're not going to come to work that day. So I think it's a difference of perspective on this. I am not rooting for the strike by any means, but I think this is how innovation and change comes about. And it could go one way, it could go the other. It could benefit the worker, it could benefit the manufacturer. I do think it's going to be a bit of a game of chicken and calling bluff and who's going to, fold first. But
Well, definitely the UAW knows that their days are numbered slightly because EVs don't require the same amount of workforce that.
So I was just going to bring that point up because you have Mach-E and Lightning that half of this is built by a robot. And like Jordan said, those aren't going to shut down.
Go to any plant. So I was at Fort Wayne Assembly, I was at Bilstein, I've been at Ford Assemblies. They're adding more and more robots. The reason why they can't hire labor. It's not about the fact that they want to replace labor with robots. Is that they can't literally find enough people to work in the plants.
Because people don't want to work. They want to work 32-hour weeks. I don't know a single person who works a 32-hour week.
That's the thing. That was my. I don't think I worked a 32-hour week. Like
he works a 45-hour week, Jordan.
And they're mad about like the executives getting top pay. I don't know a single executive in my life who doesn't work at least 60 hours. I'm not saying $30 million is a justified salary, but your compensation is based on performance. And if the company
any
does
salary job I've ever worked, I've always worked 60, 65 hours a week. Sometimes.
I mean, I would if I walked in the room and said, hey, I'm going to work less, but you guys need to pay me more at Bronco Nation, they'd be like, bye.
We'll find another Jordan Parker.
We're going to go hire Allie.
They joke all the time, like at my work. Cause like if you are in a sales position, like 90% of the time you are making commission. You do not have a base salary. You do not have anything. Yeah. And I was talking to a line worker and we actually had a very good conversation because we are on two total opposite sides of the spectrum when it comes to this stuff, but we can at least have a healthy debate about it. And like, we can still be friends at the end of the day. I don't remember the last time I worked a 32-hour work week. I think I was in high school. And like, I understand that their pay right now. So the other side of this is I understand that they are getting shorted because they're not working full days. So I fully understand that because sometimes the line shuts down and there's nothing we can do about that. But at the same time, you signed up for that job. You know that's a risk you can take. Just like with me, with all this stuff with Maya, like I am taking a ton of time off. If I'm not there, if I'm not making money, or if I'm not selling cars, like I'm not making money. It is what it is. But it's just like, it's one of those things it's frustrating to watch. And I'm not saying like they don't deserve a raise. Because obviously, yes, inflation, whatever. But it's very frustrating to kind of sit back and watch. And like, now I have all these customers getting mad that, again, they're waiting for their cars. They're still waiting for their cars. And now there's no chance of them getting it.
Well, I've seen a bunch of people in the Facebook groups of concerned Bronco people. I mean, Broncos, they seem to be more vocal than anybody about ordering a vehicle and not getting it in time. I've seen a lot of people just upset. Where am I at? Where am I at? I'm starting to see it a little bit in the Ranger groups that I'm in where, there's a new Ranger model. I know Tim or I still haven't done a press trip on that to actually drive these vehicles. And I think that's because Ford knew this was coming and was like, there's no reason to go promote anything and spend that money if there's no return on that. I think that people get pissed, but people also have a short-term memory. I guarantee you the person that ordered their car, which is pretty relatively new in America, ordering exactly what you wanted, they didn't do it in 9 when or 19 when that contract was up. They didn't have to experience a wait. Now we do live in this Amazon culture where if I don't get it tomorrow, I'm
You're gonna
upset.
throw a fit.
But there's only so many, there's only so many car companies out there. And I think if you want that new Ford Bronco or you want that new F-150, you're just going to have to wait and, hopefully, you eventually get it. But I'm worried too about everybody's wanting to strike right now. The UPS just nearly did a strike. What was it?
They're just going to offshore the jobs. I mean,
yeah.
they're just going to go build plants in Mexico and pay a third of what they pay here.
Yes, well, that was my point the other day. Is like everyone wants all of these cars to be built in America.
It's cyclical.
Well, look at y'all are throwing and again, not trying to make it political, but at the same time, you have customers that are dead set on only buying American vehicle. Well, we can't get it built because nobody's agreeing. No one can get along right now. And it's like, why are we not shipping it to Mexico? Why are we not shipping it to Canada? Like,
well, and I'll be
half
honest,
the components of the vehicle come from there anyway.
Exactly, just build it all there.
It's assembled in America, but it's not.
But you forget that those communities are built around those plants. You want to offshore America, but then you're losing the mom and pop the leadership that sponsors the local softball team, the local baseball team, local football team. Those are key components in America, and you can't just say just offshore it because who cares, whatever. But
I'm not advocating for that whatsoever. But a CEO's job is to maximize shareholder value, and the maximum shareholder value in this scenario is going to come from offshoring it. I don't want the plants to shut down. Trust me, I am.
Yeah, I'm not saying
more
pro-American
than the average guy. So I'm not saying that should happen. I'm saying that's what's going to happen because at the end of the day, the CEO answers to the board and the shareholders.
And that's a fundamental problem. That's a fundamental problem is that the increase in CEO pay has destroyed America. The middle class is losing their butts off. So if we keep increasing CEO pay and keep saying, hey, you want to make more money, just keep doing the stock market doing better, just keep shipping overseas, that is not the answer. Because the answer goes that the guy who's on the line making the money, who's paying for his family, paying for child support, paying the kids to go to school, whatever, he's going to lose his butt. And all of a sudden, the CEO, I mean, Mary Barra went on the TV today and defended her salary.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. Her salary, performance-based, that's bull. Because people who made that performance happen are guys on the line getting made $14, $15 an hour. That's
and beating the crap out of their bodies.
They can't even build the vehicle they're buying.
I worked for Nissan and couldn't afford the product. Even for Nissan, I couldn't afford the vehicles that we were building at the time. Yeah. Like there was just no way I could have bought a vehicle working there.
Well, and honestly, my household is a victim of outsourcing because that's what happened with my job. My company said, hey, you know what? We're going to restructure and all these jobs are going to go to outsourcing and we're going to have so many in leadership and operations and things like that. But guess what? You either have to go back to this position where you were 16 years ago, or you can decide to find another job somewhere else. And luckily I was one of them that had that option, but there were many, many people that didn't get that option to stay with the company if they wanted to. So, outsourcing is a true thing. And to your point, Jordan, it's CEO's job is to make the bottom line look pretty for the stakeholders. And unfortunately, the stakeholders want more money just like everybody does. And it's hitting hard the bottom.
Well, I don't want to be misinterpreted. I'm by no means advocating for any of this.
No.
Mary Barra makes a good amount of money.
Right.
I'm just laying out this is what it is. This is how the system works. Not saying it's right. That's just sadly the world we live in.
How well does that work for Ford though, maximizing profits? Because if you look at their stock prices, I don't think it's seen over 14 in a long time. Like they're not.
The stock market is bullshit.
Of course,
the stock market does not impact the economy at all. You go look. A company goes to the stock market and they do a new a report says made much money. Stock doesn't change. Stock market is legalized gambling. That's actually what it is. I've done stock market. I've done trading through TD Ameritrade. It's legalized gambling. Stock market does not matter to the economy at all. I'm so sick of people going to stock market. Oh, it's up, it's down. This guy's president, that guy's president, whatever. It does not freaking matter at all.
Tell us how you really feel.
I
Tim.
was just about to say that. Tell us how you really feel. He's dropping the mic over there.
But
All the way from home.
I'm so sick of this. Like going, let's go stock market. Stock market doesn't care. The guys in Thailand don't give a crap about Mary Bear's pay. They can buy on. They make $1 or $2. They buy 2,000 shares an hour. They make $1 or $2. That's what they care about. Stock market.
No, but to Jordan's point though is they are the CEOs are there to make sure they maximize everything they can. But my point is, we'll pick on GM's CEO because it's been very publicly what she's making, and she's
been on the airwaves a lot.
Yeah, and she's not a person that should be on the airwaves much. But
Tell us how you really feel, Dave.
No, but it's the truth because she's trying to explain why did I get $30 million? Well, it's based on performance and it's based on crap. Yeah, I'm like, no,
there's such a disconnect for what performance based means, because I know from the frontline folks, performance based is doing this, making a great product, all of this, and performance based. Well, I saved the company X amount of dollars by doing this, but I impacted X amount of workers, so it doesn't matter. But it's about the number bottom line.
I work 60 hours a week. I don't get a performance improvement. Whatever.
I'm gonna talk to your wife for you, okay?
But I mean,
if I ask for a raise,
we'll buy you a mediocre drink when we go to Texas. How about your performance?
But we all work hard, and the fact that the thing I get frustrated about is that the percentage of increase is not correlated to the employee increase. So if you're looking at this stuff, going, hey, WTF, but if you're looking at the stuff, it's like it doesn't match up. So what is performance? So if I'm on the line and I show up every day for work, never get sick, and I do my job completely, and I get
Hold on, she's gotta go out. Okay.
All right, we'll see in a minute.
I get 10% more.
Yeah.
How is the CEO justifying that she's working every day and decisions she made more money? No. Look at the last vehicle launches GM's done. It's been terrible. The Colorado's had battery issues like crazy. The Lyric is overpriced like crazy. The Hummer is a joke as far as overall environmental benefits, overpricing. So I'm sorry, but going back to 4 or 5 years ago, I think that the leadership in GM has made some very bad decisions that vehicles are coming out with. And it's like all of a sudden they're like, oh, hey, I remember doing the thing with Mark Royce in Detroit. And they're like, oh, yeah, the Tahoe is going to have a diesel. We all stood up and clapped. And he's like, yeah, diesel. I'm like, how disconnected you are. Like, you do not have a Ford Bronco competitor at this point, at this stage of the game.
Yeah.
You don't have a Ford Maverick competitor at this stage of the game. Like, for crying out loud, the decision making you've done has been terrible. The vehicle coming out has been terrible. How is GM seats still the worst in the industry?
I don't know. We can fight about that one. I don't think they're that bad.
I mean, what's performance improvement? Your performance improvement has been what the stock market says it's going to be. The stock market is based on lunacy. Look at GameStop last year. The whole GameStop thing, that was not based on any sort of economic benefit, was it? It was based on some people.
I don't know, right? I benefited from that, Tim.
But seriously,
right,
GameStop was all about Reddit. It wasn't about the economy. So tell me again how the stock market is based on reality. It's not.
Well, but the GameStop also was about effing over some short sellers. I think that was more about. But that was about the little guy. That was more about the little guy taking advantage. Now,
but
the little guy
now won.
Yeah, and now the little guy is the guy under the UAW banner. Whether I agree completely, I'm neither. I don't work for either party, so I really don't. I hope people get paid, and I hope Ford continues to make really cool cars. Past that, I don't really have a say in this. But the little guy now, we like an underdog, and when you see $30 million that GM's CEO's getting, and you see Johnny down here who's only gotten a 6% raise. And she's gotten a 40% raise. Like, I think CEO structure needs to be tied to obviously there needs to be pluses, bonuses to it, but their base pay needs to be tied to the regular employees' pay. Now it can be a certain level above that, but if the little guys moves up, theirs moves up. If for some reason it has to come down, they have to come down. But the people that are running this,
to refute that, if things go negatively or positively, the weight of that falls on the shoulders of the CEO. Like, why does an airline pilot get paid 5x what the flight attendant makes? Because the captain's responsible for 180, the lives of 180. So I do think there's a bit of nuance there, because if we're being honest, Mary Barra, Jim Farley, CEO du jour, is making significantly larger, more consequential decisions, than every level you go down in a descending order.
Right.
But
So I
think
think it's a bit
exponentially just makes it
nuanced to that.
significantly more.
Again, not
Right.
justifying the pay, but saying, I think and Jeff Bezos says this, not that he's like the shining beacon on a hill of anything, but he said, I'm paid, my pay structure is because I make a very small number of very high impact decisions that can affect the world economy. So I do think there's a bit of nuance there. Again, not saying any of this is justified, but just being the nature of how it goes. With more responsibility comes more risk, comes more pay.
That's like a Spider-Man line.
I was just thinking the same thing, Tim.
But no, I mean, so I
that's
think
why y'all are friends.
I would agree that CEOs need to make more money than the average worker because of the decision making they do. I would agree with that. But I think that the reality of things is that when the CEO pay is at such a percentage point that's so grossly out of realm of what an employee can make in an average year, I think that's really creates the problems. I think that we need to have performance-based contracts. I agree. The system is broken, but I think that that's why the UAW exists. Every 20, 30 years, the UAW comes around and they throw a left hook and then smack across the system. And the only reason middle class exists because of UAW. The only reason 40 work week exists because of UAW. They have done some good things. Historically, they've had some problems. Jimmy Hoffa is still buried somewhere in Detroit, Chicago, whatever. I mean, who knows where Jimmy Hoffa is buried?
The bottom of some building.
Hey, they thought it was in Heartland not that long ago in Michigan, so.
Right. So the UAW's had some history. I mean, every organization been around for over 100 years, that history. And so they are going to have some problems with that. And so I think they're going to have some growing pains when it comes around to that aspect. But I think they're going to be long-term. They're making some fundamental changes, asking some good questions. UAW's asking, they're like, hey, why does the CEO get that much more money? And the average guy working the line gets about $14 an hour. That's a good question.
But the problem with that, Tim, is the previous leadership of the UAW just sucked.
Oh,
they didn't have the best interest of their people in. They just wanted to stay in positions, and they cleaned house of that. There's a lot of wrongdoing there, but I do believe this guy does mean what he says. But my problem is 40%. You're never going to sell that. I don't care how long they strike. You're never going to sell that. 32 hours a week. You're never going to sell that.
You throw this.
No, I know it is. I know it is.
So they're playing poker.
But
I don't play poker. Throw out some grandiose things that never accept it and play poker.
Pensions are never.
But that's what that's what does bother me about what they're doing is, and again, this is all what these companies are saying. So who knows? But Ford and GM and Stellantis are like, we've made multiple good faith offers over the course of weeks and months and not seen any movement on their end. Like we have come to the table. They don't even show up. They're going on the news. They're out picketing, which looks great on camera, and they're doing live streams and yada, yada, yada. They're like, we're here at the table ready to negotiate. Like, you want to play ball? Let's play ball. And they're not showing up, and it's going to impact the lives of millions of hundreds of thousands of people.
I think that Ford hit almost everything they wanted except for one thing. And he still ripped it up and threw it in a stupid freaking trash can, which he really needs to stop. It's not funny anymore. He's just making himself look like an idiot.
It looks good on primetime.
And
I thought he added like a bit of fire to it. The match.
Just strike the match and just call it good. I don't know. I think that Ford's trying to play ball and they're just being. I just think they're being a little bit unreasonable.
Well,
I think Sean Payne has been a little bit unreasonable. He's been out there. He's holding the line a little bit further than I thought he was going to hold the line.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is. If you watch his live streams, he's out there, man. He's out there saying
credit for holding the line.
Yeah, man, he's doing it. I sit back and think to myself, like, my God, I want that guy as my leader too. I mean, he's doing a great job of that. But like at some point, it's like 40% unreasonable, 32-hour week unreasonable. I was thinking, why ain't work 410s? People working 410s. Like, stop. You want 4 days? Work 410s, not 32-hour work week. Work 410s. I'm fine with that.
Maybe that's what they want, though. Maybe they're hoping for that.
So I looked up.
I mean, there's a lot of companies that do 410s that offer the option of 410s. I have a friend who works for Lockheed Martin, and she works 410s.
410s.
Well, honestly, 410s could just be rolling 410s. So technically, you've still got people in the business 7 days a week because that's what you already have anyway. You've got people. depending upon the plant, 2 to 3 shifts. So I mean, easily.
Yeah, I actually looked it up after my live stream tonight. I was like looking at the details correctly, and no, it's 32 hours. And I'm like, no. You want 4 days, 4 10s. Like I'm sorry, but that's a job. I get it. The job sucks. Whatever. It was 4 10s, and so we all work hard. YouTubers work hard. We work. Journalists work hard. Whatever. I'm okay with 4 10s. I'm okay with a percentage increase. I'm okay with the stopped tiered things. I'm not okay with the pensions going back. I think that's going back to 1950s and 60s. It's not going to happen again. So
we're in a 401k world.
Yeah, it's 4K. I mean, come on. So I think there's some things that he has said that are good. I think he's pointed out some things where CO pay has exploded like 40% last decade. Automakers have made like $2 trillion last decade. I mean, so he's brought up some things to the table, some good facts that are good facts. We all agree on those good facts, but I don't know if I totally am sold on the entire package he's putting out, and I think it's going to cause more damage the longer it goes on strike. But the strike's going to be really interesting. I do wish that some of the narrative would go back towards new truck pricing. For a while there, Sean was talking about how new truck pricing increased to the point that the regular auto worker can't buy that vehicle. I wish we'd get back to that narrative, because I think that's a very strong narrative. Because, like I said,
but where's the line? Where do we draw the line for that? Like,
well, I think that there's
S-class, workers on the S-class line can't afford that. So, like, what's the line of I'm building a vehicle I can afford?
And that's exactly why middle class exists. That's exactly why he's saying that, because that needs conversation is going to happen in the middle class. Middle class needs to reset. United States. We need to reset the United States. We need to reset globally. We need to reset to going back to when you can work on a line and buy the vehicle you're buying. And it's going to be a hard time. It's going to be hard getting back to that point because that ship has sailed. But I think the conversation is well worth having.
Well, and then you include Tim, you were talking about the price increase of the F-150 power boost you had versus what it would cost you now of $7+ grand. They keep talking about record profits. Oh man, look at all these record profits, but they're not. The UAW is not talking about is that Ford's reinvesting that money back into Ford, or GM's reinvesting those profits because the EV, and we all know GM more than any, they have this hard on for EV. Like, oh, we're so green. We're green, but yet nobody's buying their damn product and they're buying their trucks. But
because the product
Ford, well, I agree, but I think also the Lightning sucks. I think that was a hurry up, get it out here. Look, we beat Tesla.
I get a Mach-E tomorrow. I get a Mach-E tomorrow. It's the greatest SUV out there, right?
Is it the rally one? But they have to. But what the UAW doesn't want to.
Jordan's like, give me a. Oh my god. Kelly's laughing. Dave's like, let's move along.
My face was at the Mach-E rally. I
have people texting me about this live stream, and this is really funny.
But Tim,
so Allie's on her phone.
Tim,
Tim, you understand though that
I work 70 hours a week. Here we go. This is why.
Tim, you understand though that the UAW is totally bypassing those. They're saying profit, but they're not saying redevelopment of that money. Let's invest it back into. They don't want to talk about that.
We are at a very Mary Barra said it years ago. She goes, "We're at an inflection point for EVs." You're damn right we are. Inflection point with middle class, inflection point of building them, inflection point of environmental benefits of them versus harm, environmental costs of buying EVs. We're at a very strong inflection point. Not the industry is going this way, not consumers going that way, but it's a very interesting point. We're at the point of the industry and automakers. We're look back at this point being it's a really interesting point. What's going to happen is happening. I have tried to buy 2 EVs. I've actually tried to buy 3 EVs, and I can't afford them.
Yeah.
I literally can't afford them. They're so expensive, and I get so much less for what I get from these EVs. Yeah. Like I have to sit down today.
Wait, sorry, you're saying you can't afford regular cars, or you can't afford EVs?
I can afford a regular car. I can't afford EVs.
Which EV?
So I tried to buy the Ram. I had the Ram deposit. That's ridiculous. Tried to buy the Chevy Silverado EV. That's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, we're talking $80,000 plus trucks.
We tried to buy
Mustang.
But
that's not what they sold them as.
We tried to buy Mustang Mach-E. You know that Mustang Mach-E is $25,000 more than the Trailblazer we bought, and I get 30 miles per gallon Trailblazer. I'm sorry, I can't.
You get a Model 3 for $29,900.
Right. Well,
$350.
I want to have somebody that's built correctly. I don't know. Anyways, but it's like I tried to buy a Mustang Mach-E. I can't afford that. I just can't. It's just, why would I went and bought a Trailblazer for $29,000. Why would I spend triple that to buy a Mustang Mach-E?
Yeah, with less range.
With that range.
Andy has a good point.
That automakers are asking consumers to spend more and get less capability.
Yeah. Well, Andy brought up a good point.
Say that one more time about the Mach-E. Spend more and get less capability.
Yeah. No, it's first. You look. So I was in museums in Japan.
It's an inferior
I've been in
product.
museums everywhere, and you look anywhere, and this is the first time in history that we've asked consumers to spend more money and get less capability.
Well, you're almost being forced to. Let's be honest. And in some states, you will be in the next year or so. We'll be forced to.
Well, we talked. You made a story did about the Jeep Wrangler, right? In certain states, you cannot buy a gas version of Jeep Wrangler.
Hey, that was a good story for me, by the way.
And so then people are leaving state lines to buy a gas version only, not a 4xe, and driving back to the state because those states have adopted the CARB standard.
Well, and Ford cannot sell the Lightnings and the Mach-E's to save their lives. The dealer down the street from me has 29 Mach-E's on the lot.
Good Lord.
29.
Because they also mass released those, and I think we refused some of ours because we didn't want.
But again, to Tim's point, it's a $50,000-$60,000 car that should be 39 or 34.99.
I don't.
34,995.
They can't afford it. The lithium pricing these days is skyrocketed because everybody's bought in this EV transition, and so you can't build them 39.
Well, and let's be honest.
It's being done profitably, just not by the big three.
Well, and let's be honest.
Is Tesla though? I know you want to harp on. I don't know that Tesla is completely profitable.
Yeah, I don't. They became profitable a couple years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
well,
so
unless
they had
another satellite, another rocket, then not.
They're separate companies, but
right. But I mean, it's interesting viewpoint. I mean, Tesla is very interesting. Tesla is very controversial in the automotive space. It's very
every time I bring it up, I get like 16 flaming arrows pointed at my direction. Like, whoa.
Tesla's done an amazing job of creating a new luxury EV space. Amazing
they're
job.
Not luxury vehicles. The Model 3 is not a luxury car.
No, but
when they first started, they created this whole spectrum.
Yeah,
they have increased to lower trim level vehicles of lower. Yes, they built an amazing infrastructure. They have done the right things. Tesla has done the right things. They're challenging dealer laws, which needs to be challenged as well. They've done the right things. The issue with Tesla consistently becomes is they're just a very controversial company.
Well,
yeah.
The CEO is a controversial person.
Elon is a controversial person.
People do not look at Tesla as a company and Elon as a CEO in vacuums from each other. They lump the two together and they say Tesla's bad because Elon's bad. X is bad because Elon's bad. SpaceX is bad because Elon's bad. While separating the visions and the missions of the company, the fact that SpaceX has revolutionized the space industry and that without Tesla, the EV game would not be where it is, so on and so forth. But because
I would debate that a little bit because Nissan was pushing that at the same time.
They have the Aria. Nissan has the Aria.
Nissan
was that freaking ladybug-looking car.
I didn't say I like that car, but I'm saying Nissan was pushing EV tech as soon as.
How do you talk about
pushing EV tech versus executing EV tech are two very different things?
How do you talk about GM without Mary Barra? How do you talk about Ford without Jim Farley? How do you talk about Ford without Bill Ford? I mean, we have the same conversations. We have Elon Musk. We have the leader of the company does impact the overall view of the company.
100%. But people are discrediting everything. People are discrediting all the good these companies have done because of one. You're not going to say Ford sucks because Jim Farley sucks.
Well, but that's
or GM
2023
sucks
for you,
because
Jordan.
Mary Barra sucks.
I mean, if you think about it, though,
very aware.
Like that's just 2023.
Tesla's had some big hits. Tesla's had some good things. I'm not going to argue with that at all. Tesla's good things. I just want to know: is Stellantis going to have somebody come in the forefront of this person, and we're going to have a drug company so you watch news.
They're going to hire somebody from Pfizer.
Who the hell is in charge of Stellantis at this point? We talked to Jim Farley. We talked to Mary Barra from GM. We talked to Stellantis.
Yeah.
Yeah, but who?
Who?
They're the winners. You can't peg it on a single person.
Right.
No one's getting thrown under the bus.
Yes. You can like Elon. I mean, you can't. Who runs Stellantis at this point?
They're sitting in the south of France
Stellantis
right now,
that
drinking an
figures-
Aperol Spritz. They're having the best day ever. They're
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
gonna wait it out because they
like,
can.
Does Stellantis,
These
Tim, do they just
stupid
sort of ignore
Americans.
this? Do they
These
just
stupid
sort of ignore this and like, there was a strike? Oh,
Yeah.
And just
right,
see
right.
what happens,
What's
where
happening?
the dominoes fall.
Was it the Tavares, the latest CEO? He's probably in Tuscany sipping his wine, going, "These stupid Americans."
no,
Yeah.
but you know, they're the
We're
out of all this, they're the company that could make big moves because they give two F's about the American Union, really, because the European unions they're partners in the company. They have, I believe, ownership, right, Tim? The European, I believe the Volkswagen union has ownership in the company. So if they do well, the company does well, and vice versa. But they
My
could
audience
just be
can't
like,
smell Volkswagen. I'm sorry.
well, I think that they are the outliers that could go, you know what? Do we really need UAW labor? I really think that they could do that. Now, would it ever happen? But
That's literally what I've been thinking this entire time, because eventually they're just going to say, screw it. And they're going to either build the robots to do this for them, or they're going to hire the people of whoever they can get.
Well, and it was mentioned in the comments about, I don't know, 45 minutes ago, or the same thing. And my response to that is, like Tim said, the community around these plants. Like, I think there would be a struggle to
going to suffer 100%.
Yeah, good.
But
on
the
your-
pressure
I
is
think
going
it would be a
to. The
struggle
pressure is
to get
going
the
to.
workers in.
In my opinion, the pressure is going to end up back on the UAW because people can only take a $500 stipend for so many weeks before life
100%.
happens.
Yeah.
And you got to pay rent, and then they're going to be like, whoa, like we'll take what we had, or we'll take slightly more than they had, and the pressure is going to end up reversing, and then they're going to come back to the table because in this economy, I know, Kelly, you were talking about how your parents would get less, but back then it was sustainable. You can't, a family cannot live on $2,000 a month.
No.
Once the strike fund runs out, the UAW's got to come back to the table.
They're toast.
Yeah,
and Ford has larger
that's the thing. They're already living
and so does
paycheck to
GM, and so
paycheck.
does Stellantis. So they're just going to wait it out.
Yeah, I think Stellantis and GM and Ford are going to have to come back to the bargaining table a little bit. UAW is going to come back as well. You see both parties, like, they're going to come out their ivory towers and come back a little bit, and they're going to get back together. But I say this, Ellie.
Or the CEOs are going to change their base pay to $1 next year, and then be like, okay, you want what we're paying? We're making $1 next year.
Right. So I was at Bilstein, and Bilstein literally said to me, they said they put in like 100 robots last year, and because they still have like 75 job openings. Like these.
I'm not saying robots can do all the jobs, but they're going to try and replace.
They have to. They literally have to, because they don't have employees. Robots work in facilities all the time. I go to plants all the time. There's always more and more robots because of the fact they cannot have enough employees. Because this new economy, the new workforce is like, It's
not even a workforce. Everyone thinks they're just so freaking entitled.
I was in Indiana, and the plant CEO said, he smirked at me, goes, because everybody wants to be a YouTuber, Tim. Nobody can work at the plant. And I'm like, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. I mean, if you can make money working at home and doing YouTube, like I travel a lot. I don't work always from home, but yeah.
Oh my God, if I could just do Bronco stuff all the time and just travel, trust me, I'd be living the dream. But guess what? I have bills to pay. Like, I still have to show up and go to work every day.
Now he's got a house to remodel over there.
Right. He's not
Not
wrong.
anymore. I have a dog I have to pay for.
Right.
that darn. But I mean, this economy is changing. People working from different jobs, working different industries.
It's not even that the economy is changing. It's that people are just lazy.
Weak men create hard times.
But look at the fact, every day on YouTube there's new millionaire made. I believe it.
Yeah, but that's let's be honest. The amount of trying versus the workforce, that's pretty. Yeah, 1%.
That's true.
Yeah, but look at the top YouTubers. They guys work like crazy.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying they don't work their butt off, but I'm just saying
they're not working
that's
32 hours a week.
They're not getting overtime after that.
I can tell you this one's not working 32 hours a week on top of his already 45, 50 hours a week.
And that's the thing,
job.
Well, and for those of us who are self-employed, I don't get overtime. Like, there's no. Like,
Yeah.
who am I going to negotiate my pay with? Myself?
Again,
Like-
I
Right.
still don't get overtime. It's a
You know who he
100%
negotiates with? He comes to me and goes, "Hey, babe, can you help with this?" Like, that's who he negotiates with.
That's right. Well, Tim knows. Tim asked me today. We were talking about travel plans for Texas, and he's like, "Don't you know anything?" I was like, "No, that's why I brought Kelly in. She knows everything. I just show up."
Right. And then he
Yeah.
bitches about my flight choices.
Hey, and speaking of showing up, guys, I'm gonna do this one more time. This is Allie's pup,
Oh.
and Allie's pup is she's needing some help, and I know Jordan, everybody has donated. We
Help
greatly appreciate
Maya
that.
out. I haven't donated. Don't give me credit.
What?
Sorry, I'm going to. Just don't, I
No
don't want you to
overtime.
give me
That's what it
false
is, right,
praise
Jordan?
for something I haven't done.
Nope. No overtime, but the link is there. We
appreciate
looks like about $500 since we've started the show
Yes.
I was
tonight.
gonna say Scott is the one who started all of this, which I actually have never even met Scott yet.
You
I
were
was supposed to
meet
meet
him. I
him in
know.
Colorado. I didn't quite
But
make it
anyways,
to Colorado.
sorry, Allie's pup is going to have to go through some radiation treatment. Had a surprise brain tumor all of a sudden,
Yes.
and unfortunately, it was either try this or poor
Say
puppy's
goodbye.
days.
We are
were
all on
numbered.
Team Maya.
Yes.
I will
So
say the amount of messages I have gotten over my dog. I think I have more followers that actually like my dog than like me. But
Sorry.
Well, your mom said it that somebody came into her work and actually asked how Wolf Dog was. So
Yes.
that tells you something.
which is
That was
very-
like the talk of the town at Supercell West.
oh, I feel
Aw.
so bad. I was so sad. I mean,
No,
like between both of them, I was so sad over like both.
No, the amount of like outpouring of love though that everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, we're so devastated! Like Allie can't be here." Like, I mean, you saw it. Like
Yeah.
Scott just created that. I didn't even like. I saw it on Instagram. I think on his story or somebody else's. I'm like,
Yeah.
because I said someone's going to create one, and then Scott is the kindest human. We were actually talking about this as a team, not to inflate your tires, Scott.
well, you would change him if you did.
Yeah. Well, I already pushed his Bronco over once. We're not. He got his one and done.
Okay.
token.
Wow.
But everyone was just talking about like how kind and good of a person Scott is, and he's newer to the Bronco community. Like hasn't even been here for a year. And he's just such like a genuinely good person. So
But, like,
shout out to
this
Scott.
This is like what I honestly love about the Bronco community though, is because I wish I was in something like this like a way long time ago. But like I tell all my customers, like they always ask like why a Bronco. I'm like, honestly, I think I'll always have a Bronco now just because of the community. Because
Yeah.
I've met more genuine friends doing this than the friends that I've known my whole life. Like, and I'm not trying to brag on them like at all, but like
No.
everyone I've met so far, Kelly, Dave, Jordan, like I feel like I've known you guys.
Not
my
you,
whole life.
Tim. Not you,
Yeah,
Tim.
Tim, get a Bronco. Jesus.
I had one for about.
You're young. You're young.
He had a press
Press
loaner.
plate doesn't count.
Yeah, press plate does not count.
Why not?
Right.
My neighbor bought one.
Doesn't count. Doesn't count. So
But it's
No, but that's so true. It's so true what Allie's saying.
Mhm.
It's like, and that's like back to Dave's initial question of like, what does Bronco Nation do? And I'm not here speaking on behalf of them. These are my own viewpoints. I also need to make that disclaimer. But like, the community is so incredible.
yeah. And that's the thing. Like
that's why we're here. That's why we do it, is because of the people. It's not because of a
yeah,
vehicle.
I mean, and that's why honestly, like in Michigan, I think I've gone to like every single event this year, but like 2. Because I couldn't go to Fest, obviously,
you
because
can ask her boss definitely to confirm that.
yeah.
No, but like Laura
Well, I
Sione,
know
who's
how
in the
angry
chat
they are
too.
with me sometimes. Jesus.
They're like, is this another Bronco event?
He does. He gets so mad at my time off request sheets. He's just like, let me guess, another Bronco event. I'm like, technically,
And that's what you should say.
customers.
Yeah, because I'm building the community, and guess what? It's helping our dealership too. So
No, but there
Not
is
that
one
that's why you
anecdote
do it.
from Supercell West. This guy, he had ordered a Bronco, and it's gonna come in however many months. But he came up to the event because he was like, I want to see what this whole Bronco community thing is all about. He's like, I follow you guys online, and I see all the stuff going on, but I don't get it. That wasn't the word he used, but that was the gist of what he was saying. Is like, I wanted to come up here, drive up for the day, and see what all you yahoos are doing sitting in a field, for 4 days on end. because he's like, I have one and I want to participate in this, but I don't know what I'm participating in. And then you
Like,
see
what
the
am I signing
community.
up? What
Yeah.
is the cult I'm signing up for? Here you go.
Well, and it's so cool because you drive through Buena Vista and like every restaurant has like a little pod of Broncos in front of it. So you see all the little like groups of people hanging out together, having dinner and doing trail rides. It's really neat. Like Tim Bartsy's in here too. He's come to multiple Bronco events now. Laura Valson has come to multiple. I met her for the first time at Supercell East in April, and to like see her progression and confidence off road increase over the last
It's
8
so
months is
fun.
just like, it's so cool to see people find in themselves things they never thought they could do or maybe would do, and kind of redefining.
If you would have asked
off-road
me 5 years
space.
ago that I would be like off-roading and doing all of this stuff, I would have said you were batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Like, was never on my radar, like whatsoever. Had no interest in it.
Well, and it did have a decent stigma around it of who was an off-roader and who could wheel and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And I think a lot of that has changed with Bronco
Oh, for sure.
because anyone and everyone can come out and do it and be empowered to do so. And it's not just, an exclusive sport built for a certain gender, of a certain age, of a certain complexion anymore.
Did you say Buena Vista, Colorado?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I used to live there.
Beautiful place. We got was it last weekend? Yeah. So
Yeah.
Bronco Super Celebration West is there every second
Every
weekend
year.
in September. It's one of my favorite events.
Like, and that's the thing too. Like, everyone's just so welcoming. Already, like Jordan said, like he was waiting for his Bronco. Obviously, I was flying out there. I didn't have a Bronco out there. I mean, I asked a few people to jump in, and then by the end of the week, well, before I had to cancel, I had like 6 other people reach out saying, "Hey, are you jumping in my Bronco?" And I'm like, "Well, crap! Now I can only do X amount of rides." And now I have all these
Okay,
people.
creepy people.
Wait. But no, it's really cool.
That's
Well,
Dave's comments,
yeah.
not Allie's, by the way.
And speaking of rides, Tim, you look tired, buddy. I don't want to. I appreciate you joining in here.
Oh
and,
no, you're fine. So 60-hour work weeks, whatever. I have a problem with their we have a problem with their email account, and the company I hired to make some changes is back at me in the email. So I'm sorry, multitasking.
No, I didn't want to hold
Overrated.
you up from tacos
Overrated.
or whatever.
Yeah, well,
whatever
these
Tim
people
does,
like the company I hired works they're offshoring. They're all overseas, and so they don't.
What? You are literally guy saying we shouldn't offshore everything.
You can't.
Dude, I hired this guy named
overseas.
Paul, and Paul's like all of a sudden he's got this jalapeno and Jolene, and I'm like, what the hell happened here? And so they don't respond back at 8:00 at night. I'm not gonna respond back for the day, and I'm like,
Paul lives in Nepal. Paul just didn't want you to know he did.
Yeah, right. I think I don't know. It's crazy, but so I'm really frustrated because I thought I found the right person. I did not find the right person.
Well, Al, you drinking over there? Because you got awful blurry.
She's
trying to fix your camera. I will say this though: out of all the problems with the UAW and everything, I don't think any of us are here going to fix their problems, and it's probably a lot deeper than we probably want to know. But I will be the next couple weeks are going to be kind of crazy for us, Tim.
Yeah, I
More crazy for him than us.
Well, no, I do wonder about budgets for marketing. I do wonder about overall budgets for press loans. I do wonder if we can get press loans. So I was supposed to get GMC Sierra 1500, 2500 this week. There's a problem with it, and they had to fix it a little bit. So do I get parts for that? Does my Silverado get parts delivered? There's a lot of questions I have in my head about I know today it doesn't matter, but what happens in 6 months, 9 months, a year from now? What
that trickle down?
What's going to happen there? I mean, and I see it as a whole industry wide situation where it's I understand that there's certain outliers that want to be we're not dependent on anybody else. We're doing our own thing, but again, at the end of the day, vehicles are assembled through a variety of parts. We do not have that many tier 1 parts suppliers over the years. We've consolidated. It's just
decentralized power.
Right, but again, but what's going to happen? I'm really curious about this stuff because so I was talking to Toyota once. They ran out of fiberglass. He goes, I didn't know we could run out of fiberglass.
Ford ran out of
I guess you can.
I guess you can run out of everything.
Yeah, he's like, so I was when at Fort Wayne, they're like, you see that underneath the hood there, the Silverado, that foam on there, we ran out of that. We don't have it.
Yeah. Hey Tim, you just got back from Detroit. What was your takeaway from the F-150? Where do you? I mean, obviously it was a very mild refresh. I personally was happy to see that they're actually doing packages like trimmers now. It's a package, and STX is its own. Their trim levels now. But Ford supposedly they simplified their ordering process. Though if you get on their build and price, it's still a nightmare. How was that for you?
I thought it was a good event. As good as it can be. Ford has history of like shotgun and things, which is fine. I whatever you want to do, I don't really care. I think it's a very mild refresh, but I think at the end of the day, if you think back to like 22 and 21 and 23 model years, Ford has done this continual improvement thing. Like onboard scales came back out 2 years ago. I mean, the smart hitch assist came out 2 years ago. So it's like they don't. Ford has adopted this new philosophy where they do not do the traditional refresh. They do the updating thing, which is probably, to Tesla's point of view, has changed the marketplace where like automakers are stopped doing the 7-year cycles. They've started doing, hey, we have something new, we're gonna put it out there. And so that's been good for consumers. But when you try to do a launch of a all new vehicle, it doesn't do as well as it used to because people are going, what's the new thing? You did it last year.
It's not
you did it year
all
before.
new. Yeah.
It's not all new. Yeah. So I mean, for automakers now to really do all new and push the bar, you're trying to hide so much stuff. And today's internet, we find out somebody leaks something. Somebody's a douchebag somewhere. He's gonna leak something. You know, it's what's gonna happen. And so I think that the thing with the F-50, people are always like, oh, sad. It doesn't have all new stuff, whatever. They've done new. Stop. Look back. They've improved things. They've done a continual improvement of the F-50, and I think that they want to do a big event. Great. It makes sense marketing wise. They've done big events for years. People get lots of PR. That kind of stuff happens. I just think that the end of the day is that the F-50 has done a continual improvement, and it's much better vehicle that's been in years past. It has more standard equipment, has more standard safety equipment. The problem with the F-50 now is it's become so expensive. It's just a joke at the end of the day. And so
when your XLT was your kind of best value vehicle, is now
$67,000, $68,000.
I started working at the dealership 8 years ago, and my first F-150 XLT was $47,000.
Yeah.
Like XLT
302,
nothing crazy
my
on it.
first F-150 was an XLT, and I think it was low 40s.
No,
my first XLT was $18,000, Ellie.
Right, you're old. But to be fair, if you took the sales sticker, the XLT you bought back then versus today.
Better truck.
XLT
Way better truck.
today is like a platinum. I mean, the XLT.
Oh no, 100%.
Different, but it's because the XLT name hasn't changed.
Yes.
Right, and so I mean, I mean, I tell people all the time, like even the XL, the Ford XL.
So our XLT now would technically be our STX with carpet floors, and you're still looking at $50,000 to $55,000.
Yeah,
they need to add features. Like everything should get better year over year without a price increase. Like the iPhone is still $999 this year, as it was last year, as it was the previous year. Like,
I don't know which one you're buying.
I was gonna say,
Wow.
My last iPhone was like $1,200.
They're fancy boy. Our iPhone budget is different. No, I mean, to your point.
Speaking of subsidies.
But I mean, I think I think we're again going through a really difficult transitional period in the marketplace. It's catching up with iPhones, catching up with computers, and the automakers are now having to be more computer on wheels, which is what Farley said. He even said we don't do over-the-air updates as well because we have 40 different contractors who develop these software programs. Then we have to validate.
Bring it all in house. Like bring it all in house. Right. Oh my! It drives me up a wall. Like the Trail app, which is not great. Like
it's a work in progress.
But automakers are not those companies.
And they need to be. I pray to God this drives innovation that changes that, because they have to do that or they're going to die.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening right now today is that automakers are making big changes. They're changing. It's like McDonald's going to sell a sub.
Yeah.
Right. It's going to take time. It's going to take time for the companies. to get used to a different sales point, to get a different viewpoint. I mean, it's gonna take a long period of time.
Well, your Teslas and your, all your EV startups, they're all forcing them to be tech companies now, where they're not going to be manufacturers. They're going to be more, hey, Apple they want to buy a car company. They are itching. They want to be in this segment because they're programmers, and that's all cars are going to be, especially with the EVs.
Well, who does everyone use now? Apple CarPlay.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about a vehicle's infotainment system as long as it has Apple CarPlay.
Same.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like the buying public, the average age of the buying public is 45 to 65-year-old men or women, and they're buying vehicles based on their needs at that price point. Until that customer makes the change, until the automakers make the change, until that change happens, it's gonna take a while to get the help with.
Come on, young people, let's go.
Right.
Let's go.
Still too much damn money. I remember my first cell phone. Let's just not talk about that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's evolutionary change. It's gonna take a long period of time to get that going.
Right.
Oh,
And speaking of things that go, if you guys are always curious of Tim's and Jill's thoughts, there's pickuptruckplussuv.com over there. I'm sure I see one UAW story. I'm sure we will see a bunch more. Tim,
Jill's
take
a
away
big
from
social media star on TikTok.
That's right. She
I know,
is.
I
That's
know.
how I became familiar with her, was on TikTok, and then I saw her depressive, and I'm like, oh, I know you from TikTok.
So we were at an event in Chicago. We were in Detroit. She got recognized for a radio program. I was like, how in the hell you get recognized for a radio program?
Huh.
Like, for crying out loud, it's the car stuff podcast. It's a podcast.
Yeah.
Like, you're on YouTube, you're on TikTok. You can't be recognized by a radio show. Like, for crying
Hey,
out loud.
the thing with TikTok though, she's making upwards of $100 a month. Just remember that.
No, actually, I think it was like 125 last time I checked.
Whoa,
how
thanks for
the
that.
But
short
it's the exposure that you get. Like
Oh, of
TikTok,
course,
unless
of course.
you're, but you're not going to reach
It
100,000 people.
honestly
easily.
hasn't really changed anything with her. She's at the same
No.
exposure she has in the past. No, I agree. I agree with George. There is some exposure there invested, but
I'm picking at her for that. She
TikTok,
what 100,000 plus.
She just
over there?
crossed 100,000 subscriber. Yeah, she crossed faster than YouTube did. And it's funny because it's like those videos, again, like to your point, like she works her ass off and makes $100.
Yeah.
And I'm just going I'm like, why? Like I've done like 8 TikToks, maybe 10 TikToks, whatever, because I just don't care. It's just because the viewpoint, the comments I get back, I'm like, are you really serious? I'm like clicking, like deleting stuff. Like, are you dumbass? Like, what the hell? And so
Well, the money in TikTok is not the monetization from the platform. The money is in brand deals.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do wonder about the future of that with brand deals, whether brands really see the ROI in that or not. I don't know. It's interesting. It's again, it's a change in the economy, a change in the marketplace. It's like you went to your granddad and said, "Hey, buddy, I make my living now on TikTok." Your granddad is going to be like, "What in the world are you talking about?" Right?
Well, that's why the first
TikTok.
few.
You talking about the candy?
Well, the more
Those are
press events you
TikToks.
go to, and Tim, I'm sure you see this more than anyone, the more like non-typical journalists are probably there. You're like, oh, who do you write for? You're like, well, I post on TikTok. Because
Nissan has been very bad with that. All their social media right now is these little influencers like that, and they drive me crazy. I'm like,
well, there's a difference
That's how you
between
feel.
little like influencers and like actual professional, like Forest Auto
No, these are
Reviews.
people of name.
My favorite on TikTok has 3.24 million followers and does phenomenal like 60-second car reviews. Or the Daniel Mack who asks people what you do for a living. Ford did a whole thing with him for the Lightning tour.
Did that pay off for Lightning sales?
I'm gonna go with no, but I don't think that's a necessarily.
That's a different.
I mean, it got a lot of exposure. Like it probably got the name out there. But those people are all making their money in brand deals. They're not making their money in monetization because TikTok doesn't pay like YouTube does.
You bring up an interesting point. So I've been doing this 14 years, and I've seen the evolution of print and paper journalists like going away, and influencers come up, and the influencers going to go away. Journalists come back, and so it's been a continual evolution and changing in the marketplace. And I will tell you, I see less influencers now today than I did 3 years ago. And I think that's really become what.
Thanks, COVID.
No, it was a Ford. It was a Ford Raptor and GT launch in Detroit. They had an entire segment of the stage devoted to influencers, and they kind of cast journalists aside. And then the influencers did their thing and kind of walked away. And then there's a Ford Explorer Drive the Ford did across America, and influencers didn't even take pictures of the vehicle. They did selfies of themselves at the drive.
Mm-hmm.
And so Ford had a bunch of pushback on that. And I've seen Ford now, they've really cut down. So now for the press event, now we have like 3 or 4 waves. 3 waves are full journalists, 1 wave's maybe influencers. And they ask them to do different things. And so automakers are going through this transition period too. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not a huge TikTok person, obviously. I'm not a huge Instagram person, obviously. And so I don't know. I don't know. It's a changing marketplace. It's changing the way the reporting is done on it. I was just driven. I was just talking to the guy at Tacoma. I meet new influencers every event I go to, and one of the guys was really good, and he had a huge TikTok following. And he said to me, he goes, I do YouTube, and I cannot make any videos. Like, people don't watch anything. I went to his YouTube channel, check things out, and he doesn't make. Nobody goes from TikTok to YouTube.
Correct.
And
so
the
conversion rate is very, very low.
Right. And so this guy's going, why am I putting this time and effort and stuff? I'm flying places, doing cool things, but I'm not going to make any money, and I can't do stuff on YouTube. Maybe I'm not just ready for that platform. And I'm like, I don't know. If TikTok takes off, great. I don't. Whatever takes off, I don't care. It's the next greatest thing. I'm on Post News and TikTok and what else? Threads from Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I mean, my God, it's like everywhere you turn, there's new like social media thing. I'm like, oh, stop. I'll just get my Facebook is fine.
Well, the problem is, I shouldn't say it's a problem. What happened was, like, during COVID and TikTok, there was like this big surgence of new influencers and brands with historically older marketing leadership. We're just like, oh, we need to get on this trend. Let's just bring, we're just going to pick people based on follower count without really doing a deep dive and looking at who these people appeal to, what their content is, what their content streams are. So they brought a bunch of influencers in, because it was going to garner impressions. But to your point, Tim, it was, depending on the event, the wrong impressions. Because if you're watching, obviously a girl posed next to a GT is going to do a lot better than the girl posed next to an Explorer. So why would, from the influence perspective, as their business, they're not going to make a business decision that's going to get less engagement posting in front of Explorer. So once that all sifted out, a couple high tier automotive influencers stuck around, and they've been welcomed onto the press circuit and get press loaners and all this stuff. But there's like less than 10 really solid ones on TikTok. YouTube has more, but those people started on YouTube. The TikTok to YouTube pipeline doesn't really work. The YouTube to TikTok pipeline works a lot better. So you see a lot more automotive YouTubers who have been around for a while still doing what they do. Doug DeMuro obviously being like the OG, but you see, that space is kind of stuck around. You haven't seen too many new automotive YouTubers rise. They've all risen on TikTok or elsewhere. And then what Ford did, which was interesting, is they brought a lot of those influencers in-house with their Friends of Ford program, making them, I don't want to say bought for or paid for influencers, but like there's an agreement there that you're coming to a Ford event to speak highly on Ford, which is that 4th wave you were talking about, Tim. Because I've seen it as like, because we're obviously in a weird position of Bronco Nation, is we're not like journalists, but we're not like Friends of Ford. We kind of fall somewhere in the middle where we're objective, but we work with the company. So that's why it's always weird where we fall into. But the Friends of Ford is, and I haven't seen another brand do this, where they select influencers and then bring them on board as part of their greater comms strategy, which is unique.
Yeah, Ford's done some very unique things, and I haven't found other brands that do the same things.
Yeah.
Well, they don't spend the money. I will say that, because I've been on Nissan press events and Ford press events, and Nissan throws money after money hoping for something to happen, and Ford's like, you're in and out. Like, we're done with you. Thanks. Please leave.
No, I mean, the industry definitely changed since I started, again, 14 years ago. I used to remember going to events and like influencers sat at a table, like it was a little kid's table, and nobody would look at them. And it was like, well,
that's how I felt the first press event I went to.
Yeah, and so I was like, guys,
trust me, that's how we feel like all of our press events, Jordan.
So,
when we don't know people, we're like,
yeah. I mean, like I sit down with people all the time. Like, you guys are just dumb. Like, the older
he does. He tells me that all the time.
He does. He tells us, shut up and get away from me and go elsewhere.
The older crowd. I'm just like, you guys are so stupid. We call them dinosaurs in my business. We call them the dinosaurs.
Oh, we've come across a few of those dinosaurs.
Well, for auto news, and our audience may care and they may not, but the paper press are a bunch of assholes for the most part. There's some very excellent people, but they did not like video coming in and pissing on their thing. And then video didn't like the influencers coming in and screwing it all up. And they all battle with each other, and it's kind of funny. And what's funny now is Tim will go to these events, and especially like the one we're about to go to, and there'll be some old press there, and they're like, well, how do I get into YouTube? And you're like, dude, you're way too late. Way too late.
Buddy.
Yeah. And Jordan, I know you like to reference old Doug DeMuro. Did you see that when he sold his company, he started bringing in other people to do videos with him, and those videos are not doing well. If you look at his views,
people watch Doug because of Doug. Like,
Doug, yes.
It's not the
but
car,
it shows
it's
like
Doug.
you can sell your company, and people get a sniff of real quick of you're not sincere anymore, and it'll be like, you know what, we're good. They like Doug.
Use the recipe, but the sauce won't taste the same. Like, it's just, I mean, that's how it goes. Authenticity is everything in the social media space.
Yeah.
And consumers of content are very wise to that. And that's why you can very easily discern the influencers who are the wannabe influencers, I should say, who are genuine versus trying to just put on an act. Because it's not
well, I'll be honest, even being a somewhat content creator myself, like even when I consume content, I look at it and go, is it worth a follow? I don't know. Let me look and see if there's anything worthy. Like, is this a one-off for you, or is this something that I'm going to be interested? I don't want to, and it's the silliest thing because it doesn't cost me anything to follow that person, but it's like, is it worth my time to follow you?
That's
so it's interesting.
Clicking's hard. Man.
No, it's not about clicking. It's literally like, do I want to see more of this person, or is this person really just out for money, or are they really passionate about it?
I think you can tell that pretty easily. And half the time I don't even watch for the content. I watch for the person. Like, because of their delivery, I can go watch 15,000 Bronco reviews or insert, new vehicle here. But I watch because I like presenter XYZ, not because,
I had a company offer me a podcast for my channel, and I was like, no. And he was like, what do you mean no? And I'm like, because you're going to destroy it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, if like we've seen vertical scope my business by so many websites and companies and things and forums and such, and they just destroy it because they take the same song and dance they thought one time and they put it again everywhere else. And this new society is now about personalities. Like I always think it's interesting because a lot of journalists I went to college with are like, you can't make yourself part of the story. I'm like, well, you better make yourself part of the story. And they're like, what do you mean? Because that's the future.
People watch Walter Cronkite for Walter Cronkite.
Yeah, go look at any sort of CNN, NBC, Fox News, whatever, after 7 p.m., and it's all talking heads based on the personality. People watch them. They're not news. Tucker Carlson was never news. He was the personality. People watch him for personality. And YouTube is the thing with YouTube and the thing with social media and influencers. It's nothing like groundbreaking different. It's the same thing we've been doing in media on 1950s and 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Done a different way that's unique to the new audience who's not watching the same 5 p.m. news cycle. They're watching something different. And so you use the same thought process behind it. People are buying based on personality. And that's how the channel's been built. I'm not the greatest journalist in the world. I just have a personality and people love what I'm doing, whatever. And they don't like it. I can't change that.
Yep.
They like that part, Tim. They like when you
1,000,000%.
So I put a
past Cinderella's bedtime. What the hell? You keep guys up for too long.
I put a poll up there. I said pick one part of the UAW contract that you would vote on, and the options were 32-hour work week, pensions, or 40% pay increase. Kelly, what is the end results there?
Are you going to end it? Or are you just going to sit there?
No, we're going to end it. But I was,
Shit.
Bust my balls.
So with 38 votes, in which I'm kind of surprised when there's currently 60 people watching, but whatever. See, I'm sassy tonight. Pension was at 55%, 40% increase, was 36% and a 32-hour work week was 7%.
I would have thought the 32-hour work week would have been what people were like, hell yeah. Or
People
the
are
40
grounded in reality. People do not live in la la
It's not
land. They
gonna
realize that is
happen.
not a thing.
Yeah, but they voted.
Yeah, because pension is more realistic, I think, in the scheme of things.
No, not at all.
I think in people's minds that
Maybe
pension is more
that-
realistic.
that,
Whether it
but-
actually is or not, that's a different story.
And honestly, what are you going to do for those extra 2 hours a day? Like, people aren't going to care about that when they're 65. But they will care about a
Video
pension.
games.
Sit on their phones, Jordan. Jeez.
Well, hey, wait till the next UAW contract's up, and then it's going to have to be a percentage of phone usage you get each day. And then that'll be the sticking point of, well, we only get 10% a day right now. We want 40.
Thank God my job is on my phone.
I know.
Literally. That's all
Yeah.
I do.
People are like, don't you want to go camping and get off grid? I'm like, that's my nightmare.
Yes,
Like
mine
that's
too.
That's
my
like
eternal
my-
nightmare. Like
That's my
my entire
dream.
business is online. Like I would love the idea that I could allow myself to do that, but my entire business has been online for the last 14, 16, whatever it's been. Unplugging to me is like I'm going to Verizon immediately. What the hell's going on?
That doesn't mean that you wouldn't like to do it. It just means that does not make sense for your life.
We did it. So over the end of July, we went camping and no cell service for a couple of days, and I was just like, we went.
You lost your ever loving mind.
Well, I think I texted him like 40 times. I was like, hey, what the hell is this guy
Oh my
doing?
gosh, this one, I'm sure I've told all of you this, but newsflash, this one doesn't like to go to the beach because he actually has to disconnect from his phone because he can't go in the water with his phone. He can't, like, you can sit on the beach and he's there on his phone, like legit can't disconnect.
I love
So-
it. I love not being contacted. But
I'm
like
not
Tim
gonna
said, it's
lie,
not an option.
I pre-told everybody that I was going to Colorado and I wasn't going to have service just so I didn't have to deal with a bunch of BS of work and everything like that. So I was super bummed about that.
That's
Yeah.
what I love about off-roading is like I go out in the trails in Moab and no one can get a hold of me.
100%. I love not having cell coverage.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
there.
I was off all day.
Sorry, I
it's
was
I
disconnected.
just got service.
When your entire business, your team's online, it's like
Yeah.
I don't need 17 hours a day. I need like just give me 20 minutes to make sure everything's going fine.
Oh yeah.
Give me that little bit like, hey, nothing's on fire. Great, fantastic. Move along. That's
See,
all I
that's a
need.
different
Well,
story, but this one wants 17 hours a day. He doesn't want to disconnect ever.
Well, that's why I got Starlink, so then when I went camping, I could still be connected. And then
You
that
mean
was
know
no
about your
problem.
Starlink.
You mean that thing that doesn't work well?
It works phenomenally when I need it. It's just not great at YouTube live streaming. But we're going on a camping trip with friends to Moab. I'm going to Moab for the first time, not for work. And my friends are like, you
Nice.
are leaving Starlink at home. It is staying home. My friends are having an intervention. So
And you're like, you're not my friend anymore.
yeah.
Unfriend.
I'll talk to you online.
Silly. Wow.
No, I love them. They know I need it. So
Yeah.
Well, guys, this has been a fun show tonight, and I appreciate everybody, all the last minute people joining in. Definitely, I believe it was Mike from Ford.
all views expressed tonight are not those of my employer or Bronco
That's
Nation.
right.
All views are mine.
That's right.
Right. Just remember that all of these are our opinions. You don't
I
have
was
to
gonna say-
agree with us.
I am my
Yeah.
own employer,
You
so I'm
want me to
screwed on that
come
one.
at me
Then
about
you're
my
fired.
dealership and
There is no title under my name because I am just speaking for Jordan. Parker.
Jordan
this
Parker
is
is
just
Jordan
Jordan
Parker.
Parker, everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, so let's see. Gotta do this right before I forget about it.
Can you do it right?
Whether
I
it's
think so.
whether it's two-wheel drive, four-wheel
four-wheel
drive, whatever you drive, this is your Bronco Talk Live.
Nope.
It's All Terrain Nation now, where we talk Fords
Yeah,
on
I'm like,
Mondays.
Yeah, it's Ford Talk or Ford.
Peace.
See ya.